Hey, Bumcrack, how are you this morning? Can you hear me okay? Todd is busy this morning, so I threw together a show, and Sally's not feeling well, so. Okay. Give me a minute to get caught up here. Nothing's wanting to work right this morning. Give me just a minute. Give me a minute. Okay. Oh my God, did I just drop this out? There. No, I'm just kind of hurrying around. Todd couldn't get in, and then I'm having issues getting into it this morning. Craig, thank you very much. Here's the link if anybody wants to jump in. If not, then we'll just see what's going on. Good morning, Jess Pamela. How are you today? Good morning, Bumcrack. Good morning. Two-pack. Good morning, Cindy. Good morning, Craig. Good morning, Pamela. Hope we got everybody in there. I'm going to have to get a bigger screen. I had eye surgery 2 weeks ago and then 4 weeks ago. And I haven't got my glasses yet. And actually, in 2 weeks, I go back in for an appointment. And then 2 weeks after that, I should have glasses. So a little small print is not really good right at the moment. And the boss lady won't. She's frowning on a 32-inch TV, 32-inch monitor. So, hope everybody's doing good. I hope take a breath here. Hope everybody's doing good this morning. Like I said, Todd's out on the road today with his better half. Sally's not feeling good, so I don't know whether she'll pop in or not. So if anybody's got time, they want to come in. Otherwise, we'll just see how things go. So, how is everybody's business going? Everybody selling stuff, getting stuff listed, finding some deals. I hope so. And the question of the morning is, with all that's going on in the world, in the States right now, how is that affecting your business? Or how is that affecting how you want to do your business? Are you doing anything different? Are you trying to list more? Are you reducing prices to get product moving and money in the bank? Craig, you're slow because you don't list because you're rich. You're making all that tech money down there. Oh, cool. So there's the link if anybody wants to come in. Let me do one last thing here. Okay. Yeah, Craig, I know. Gas prices are down. They're down like $4.29 now, down about 25 cents. And just so y'all know, just for ease, I have a Facebook group that's called the Queen City Picker Show. If y'all want to join that, the only thing that it'll be used for is just to let you know when I'm going live or if I'm going to be on somebody else's show. Nothing else. You're working today, Craig. I thought you retired. So anyway, it's a Queen City Picker Show. It's on Facebook. Like I said, it's just an alert. Hey, Sally. You know what? Oh, just going to, which everything is crazy with me. But anyway, being that I'm getting old, these like disposable razors does not do. Yes, I did, Sally. I'll send it again. Give me just a second. I just sent it again, Sally. So I got Roberta to order me one of the old school safety razors. You know, you flip it open as little limbs, you stick the blades down into it. And I have just looked like I've been in a knife fight. I look like a 13-year-old boy trying to shave for the first time. But it does the job. So if any of y'all you guys or girls have problems with getting a clean shave, try one of those. I didn't even know they still made them, but Amazon has them. But like I said, I don't have. I'm not a member of that group. Somehow or another, I'm not a member of that group anymore. It's probably because when I got my other Facebook account hacked and I created a new one because I couldn't get it back, I guess I just never joined it. So if you're a moderator, if you can stick me in that group, I'd appreciate it. So, we've talked about my personal hygiene here for a minute. And apparently, I guess Sally kicked me out of the other group. You know, she's ego about that way. I hope people have been having better weather than we've been having. Every afternoon about 3:30, you'd think we were living in Fort Lauderdale. It starts clouding up, and then we have some terrible thunderstorms. I mean, it's been bad. The house shakes. It's been so bad. I think it was Bridget was talking about they were having a drought up there in the upper part of the country, and I told her I'd be glad to send some of these storms down here. But it's raining. It rains so hard that it doesn't look like it's really soaking into the ground. It just runs right off the top of the grass out into the street. But last night was the first night we haven't had a thunderstorm. It clouded up like it was going to storm, but it hasn't. So there's your weather report. It's still hot as hell, though. I think it's supposed to get up to like 97 again today. I took everything off of eBay, and I'm resetting everything up because I've got stuff that I went looking for that I was going to give away and has disappeared. And so I have nothing in my store right at the moment. And I've started getting everything put back up. What kind of stuff am I listing? I've got some new stuff that I've got I'm gonna list in. I've got a. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can get Sally in here. There she is.
Doesn't look like me.
Sally, you look like you've been partying hardy all weekend long. Are you sick again?
I have a UTI right now. It's like making me really, really weak, and I just don't feel good. I don't feel good. I've slept so much, and I just really don't feel good.
Good morning, Nana.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Oh, okay.
You been to the doctor about it?
Yeah, I went yesterday. It started the day before, and usually they don't hit me this hard. Usually it's like I can start taking like cranberry tablets or something,
Right.
the capsules, and those will knock it right out. And but it came on in one day, and it was so harsh to me. I felt like crap, and I feel very weird. Like just kind of like I was telling Valerie, I was like nodding. Like, and I haven't done that in a long time, but I have like a form of narcolepsy, and when I don't feel good or I'm super tired, that's the only time that I'll usually nod. But right now I feel horrible.
Wow.
I wasn't gonna come on with my video, but I didn't get there fast enough to stop my video.
Well, don't worry about it. If you need to go to bed, go to bed. Good morning.
I look like crap. I know. I'm sorry.
Hey, well, you can't always look as fabulous as I do every morning. I didn't have time to do my eyebrows or put on a little blush or something. Good morning, Mr. Sadie.
Of course, I sold some stupid shit that I have to package today. I had to package a freaking dragon, like one of those dragons that walk and growl and stuff.
Yeah.
And I put it in this box, and as you can see, it's like bowed out. I'm like, I don't give a shit if they don't like it, they can send it back to me. It has freaking bubble wrap on it. It's gonna have to do.
Sally. Pamela said that I guess you take some B12. It says just Pamela, and this is B12.
I usually take all kinds of like vitamins and stuff, but I haven't been really doing my regimen right now. The only thing I'm taking is calcium, and I have this other stuff. It's a vitamin D3.
Right.
And as far as I know, it's been pretty good. I haven't really been sick lately, and I haven't had a freaking UTI in like, it's been, I think, over a year. So it's just been, it hit me hard.
It's good morning, Scott.
Hey, good morning.
Give me just a second. Good morning, Anna. Good morning, Texas Val. Got a pretty baby there. Mr. Sadie, I've already spoke to you.
You only get one time, Larry. One time.
That's right. One time, and one time's enough.
I
Sorry,
turn my
Sally.
video on so you don't have to see me. I know it's harsh today.
Todd. Scott, you've been putting a little Grecian formula in your beard, son. You're not looking as gray today as you have been.
Okay, so there's a LED light instead of the old light. It's probably just the lighting.
Are you in a hotel or are you in the house?
Now I'm at the house.
Oh, okay.
I mean, not every hotel has Alabama pictures on the wall, although they should. Yeah,
But
when I have a lot of fun, one of our Thursday we have to put one of our dogs down.
oh, that's terrible.
It's kind of sad around here. He's got dementia, he's blind, and he's deaf, and he's already started wandering the house and got stuck in the laundry room and did that yelping stuff and used the bathroom all over himself. It's just,
Oh my gosh.
yesterday Joni picked him up. He peed on her in the bed. I mean, it's just,
Lovely.
well, when you've had him for 16 years, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
For
That was like my mom had a Chihuahua Yorkie mixed, and he was like my baby brother.
Right.
I mean, that dog traveled every place with us when we were young. And the first time he ever was boarded, my mom went down to his vet that he'd been going to just about all his life, and she wanted to see where they were going to be boarded at. And, they have those cages back there. And she said, but he's used to sleeping on a king size bed. And the boy that actually went to school with me, he's like, I'm sorry, man, we don't have any back here. But yeah, she had to have him put together. Same thing. He was going blind. He was having a lot of problems, and she ended up having to put him sleep. And it took her a week to get over him, because when we moved,
we had another one that was like her life dog, and his back went out 2 years ago for the third time, and so we had to put him down, and she's still not over that. So this is just bringing up a lot of bad memories.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's terrible when you have to do that, because it's, well, like in my mom's case, it was like she lost a child, because
it's like losing a kid. That's for sure. I mean, I can't say that because I've never lost children, and so I feel horrible for those people that have actually lost their children. But I would say that losing an animal that's with you every single day, and following you around and with you in hard moments of your life, that accounts for something.
I hope y'all recover. It takes some time sometimes, especially when you start looking for them.
Yeah, we've got, his sister. So the litter. His dad did the same thing, and then brother is the same. Not as bad as he is, but just headed that way, and so it runs in that. But we've got the sister from the same litter, and she has none of it. She's just same age, just carrying on, like, except for she has become very grouchy in dealing with him.
I think that's just a female. It has nothing to do about the dog.
He'll be like in her peripheral range, and she'll just go. Yeah, Carol, it's scrappy.
Hey, Carol.
Yeah.
We have that dog of my mom's. They traveled. We camped. We pulled a tag-along camper all over the. From just the other side of the Mississippi all the way to the East Coast. That dog had been to every state in the Union. Wow. I mean, he traveled, and so he was literally with my mom every day. We'd go off to school, and he'd be home with her, and so it's It's hard. It is. Yes, it is, Maggie. It's like losing a family member.
Yeah, she's had him on different stuff and trying to help him with medicine because if she's not around, he goes really crazy, and it's just called the doc yesterday, and Johnny asked her opinion, and she said, I wouldn't give it to you unless you asked, but I think you've gone above and beyond. It's time. There's not anything else you can do. So when you're a vet, and she's a good vet, I mean this vet's got a heart of gold, and so that was kind of we'd already talked about this weekend is it time, and then the vet says I don't butt in, but somebody asks, I will tell them it is time.
Oh, is that where the Sadie comes from, Mr. Sadie, from your dog? I thought that was a nickname you had.
No, I knew that's where that came from. Yep, Mr. Sadie, Larry.
But it's tough when you have to do that. So you just hanging in the house today?
Yeah, I got some shipping to do. I got 18 or 19 to ship out. I was lazy and didn't ship yesterday, so.
Someone, and I don't know who it was, and I'm sorry, I'm just kind of befuddled this morning, asked me what kind of stuff I was listing. I've got 3 boxes of stuff. A neighbor down the street is moving, and I walked outside with Roberta this morning because she's been working from home, but they're making her go back in one day a week, and she hadn't had a telephone on her desk. So all these conference calls she's having to do off of her cell phone. So they messaged her yesterday and said that the tech was going to be there to reinstall her telephone at her desk. And so she needed to be there. So she went in this morning, and then he called and said, or he messaged her and said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it. And she's got all these conference calls today. So she'll be doing it on her cell phone. But, or she'd have been at home today. But but anyway, I started, what I say was, I walked her out to the car, took her laptop and her lunch and everything out to the car. And sitting out my door is 3 boxes. I'm talking about big boxes, packing boxes of action figures and all kinds of stuff. And there's a note on it that said, hey, Tom, I thought maybe you might want to sell these. If not, take them to Goodwill. So at some point today, I got to go through and see what's in there. And they look like there's some flatware in there and some other junk.
Oh, I know what the difference is. I'm on my laptop camera. This MacBooks are extremely expensive until this is the last one that had this potato camera. Even though this is a $3,000 MacBook, it's got a 720 camera. That's part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like walking outside yet.
No, your beard looked a lot darker today, so that's the reason I thought.
Yeah, it does. I think it's the lighting, though.
Well, that's what he said. It was the lighting. I thought maybe you'd been getting some of that,
I did that one time, and Johnny liked it. It looked terrible, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing that again.
Well, Ronald Reagan's hair always was so black because he dyed his hair, and he didn't make any beans about the fact that he did dye his hair. So I just didn't know whether you got I didn't know whether you just got you some greasing formula out and started brushing it through it and trying to darken it up some. Trying to look young.
I was going to show you this. This is really good if you're on keto or something.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've tried it before, but they have like different flavors. They have like a pink lemonade and then the mango passion. This is more like, it's kind of like citrusy, like orange juice. So I really like to keep this on hand, and it's only 1 gram of.
Is that better for you?
Huh?
He said, "Is that better?"
That is more gray for sure.
Yeah, that brings the gray out.
Yeah, it's only 1 gram of carbs per like a 8 ounce
Yeah,
Yeah.
Johnny drinks those. They've got different flavors and stuff. She drinks those just regularly. They've got 3 or 4 different flavors.
Well, I used to drink fruit juice all the time, when I wasn't watching, sugars and carbs and stuff. And man, you start looking at the freaking sugars that are in your fruit juice as like, holy crap. They got all the regular sugars plus they add sugar. So it's a lot. Some of that stuff could be worse than a freaking Mountain Dew.
No. We're only eating once a day.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah,
Are you
once
do-
a day. We
are
eat
you-
once a day.
Are you
And
doing?
we're not watching. We're not necessarily keto or anything like that. We are watching
Well, it
the
sounds like
sugar.
intermittent fasting.
Yeah, basically that's what it is. But we eat pretty much what we want to eat because just small portions and once a day. And
So is there a certain time every day that you eat?
yeah, it has been about 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah. And that's the only thing you eat all day. You don't snack?
Try not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we I on the 5th, I went back on keto full time and intermittent fasting, which is I don't eat before 10 or after 6, and so it's
Yeah, it's good.
Well, when my mom and dad were growing up, their big meal during the non-school year was always at lunchtime, and then they ate leftovers at the evening because they were farming families, and my grandmother would fix a big lunch for the family and also for the people that was working on the farm with them. And so they would just eat leftovers. And, my mom was like, it was kind of hard. It was kind of strange when dad was working a job that he wasn't home during the day. And so she had to start cooking in the evenings.
Well, if you look at just look at some older pictures, especially of older family pictures or even older pictures online, and in the late 60s to the early 70s, there was a big push by the sugar industry, really pushed carbohydrates ahead, and the low fat is the way to diet and all that stuff, and made fat the enemy. And dramatically, you can see through the 80s, starting in the mid 70s and the 80s, the weight just gained on people.
Yeah.
And it's what we eat. Is we've been there wasn't this processed stuff. My grandparents didn't eat all this crazy mess. They ate a meat and a vegetable. They didn't eat processed foods. Is there anybody who doesn't have Pop-Tarts and that kind of stuff in your pantries? All the sugar and processed flour.
Oh my gosh.
It's
horrible.
My downfall is Captain Crunch cereal. I love Captain Crunch cereal, but I don't ever buy it because it's kind of pricey, like $4 a box. So every time they have a sale, if they have a sale, then I eat Captain Crunch for lunch or dinner or whatever you want to call it.
You can go cheap and get it in a bag, whatever the Captain Almost Crunch is.
Yeah.
But
they're going to start calling you Captain Tom.
Yeah.
I bet Maggie in the chat will tell you the same thing, and Tom will tell you the same thing. Once you train your body, like I wake up, I'm not hungry. At 10 o'clock, I'll start thinking about it. But when you start this fasting, after the first few days, especially when you go low carb, I have no cravings. I have to force myself to eat.
Yeah, and you don't poop as much.
And if you do, it might be a little loose, but that's all right.
Maggie, I am far beyond being a kid, and I still love Captain Crunch. And that's the only one. It's either that or Cheerios. That's the only ones. I don't like all this chocolatey stuff or the sugar-coated. What was it? Calvin always ate chocolate-covered sugar bombs or something like that.
Going to Vegas in October, and I'm like, if I don't get a few of these pounds off and get keto takes a lot of the inflammation out and little aches and pains. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I want to feel good out there. You're going to walk a ton. And so I'm calling it keto to Vegas.
Keto to Vegas. Well, my doctor, I had an appointment with him, and all his patients are men. Okay. He doesn't hold any punches back. And I'm like, I've lost 15 pounds. And he's like, good, you got about 80 to go. And I said, that's going to put me about 175. He said, that's where I'd like to see you. And I said, I'd like to see me at 175 pounds too. But
that's my ultimate goal. I'd take under 200 again for sure.
Hi,
it's hey, Red's Outpost. It's and it's terrible. And my dad was not my dad never put on, he put on a little weight, but he never got to be a big guy. And I think that's because my mom, she didn't cook any processed stuff. It was like they put up vegetables during the summer, and for them, a normal lunch day would be like pinto beans or butter beans and some chicken or pork chops or something like that, and that was just pretty much. And they ate at lunchtime after my dad retired. That's when their big meal of the day was. And but he never did really put on a lot of weight, and I think it's all about the reason the way my mom was cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing, I've never been a coffee drinker. I'm trying to teach myself to drink coffee now.
You're trying to teach yourself to drink coffee?
Yeah, I hadn't had any energy, and I'm like, I drank some the other day. I'm like, man, that's crazy. I'm going to drink this every day.
Yeah. I have been being really good about trying to watch what I drink and eat, because I drove by a Starbucks the other day, and it sits right next door to a Krispy Kreme, and I really wanted some Krispy Kremes. I wanted some Krispy Kremes and a white chocolate mocha Starbucks so bad, but I just kept driving on down the road.
Donuts is probably the reason why I'm sick right now, because the other day I bought a box of donuts at Walmart. No, actually I was already sick before that. So it wasn't the donuts, but I'm sure it didn't help.
My son asked me the other day, why do you always buy donuts and things like that's on the markdown counter at Walmart? And I said, because I've seen the way you people eat. You don't taste it. You don't know whether it's good or not. You just got a donut's gone in 3 bites.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you don't enjoy the taste of it at all. So I'm not spending a lot of money for something that's just going to get shoved down your throat.
Yeah.
Well, it helps too, Tom. I know you'll tell the same thing. Joni's not on the diet, but she cooks low. She thinks about it and cooks that way for me, low carb. So like last night, she cooked chicken Monterey, which is chicken with cheese, mushrooms, onions, and bacon on it, and then green beans. And so that's really the key for me is, she helps out a lot by the one big meal I eat. She will.
Yeah, that's important. See, I hate to cook. I used to do one thing a week, and I need to get back into that. Cooking one different thing a week, using my air fryer or something super simple I could cook on the stove or whatever. But that's the key for me, to keep it interesting, and to keep,
Yeah, like tonight's wing night at for any resellers in Huntsville, come join us for wing night, 5:00 tailgate. But I can eat the wings are 75 cents each. I'll eat 12 wings and drink a beer and some water. So the middle of the light will have 3 carbs. The wings won't have maybe 1 or 2 most. It takes find something you really like. I could eat wings every night.
I can eat chicken every night too. I've got a recipe for shrimp scampi, because I don't like red. I don't like red sauces, like pizza, spaghetti sauce, that kind of stuff. I don't like it on pizzas either. so I'm not a big pizza eater either.
Huh.
But I like the sauce, which is basically a clear sauce with diced up tomatoes in it, and like shrimp scampi, which I put chicken in it and everything else. But that's kind of like our pasta, because I'm not too big on pasta, so that wasn't hard. But wings, chicken wings, I can do that. And just just a helpful hint here, there is a garlic and herb marinade at your local grocery store, and it is really good, because I took some chicken tenders, punched holes in them, and let them sit for about 24 hours, and then I threw them in a griddle. What's that thing? The thing that's got like a clamshell. The boxer, I think he was promoted.
George Foreman.
Yeah, that's it. I got one of those. I threw it on there and cooked them in that, and it was really, really good. Hey,
Yeah,
Tara.
Come on, Jim and Tara. Mr. 60-year-old Jim, come tell us a story. I don't know if y'all saw that on Facebook, but Tara put he's approaching 60, and everybody was telling him happy 60, and Jim's like, I ain't 60 yet.
Yeah. Roberta said yesterday she wanted to do something really good for my 65th birthday. And I said, how about a round the world cruise or something? She said, not that big. Yeah. He was catching it on that.
You want to put the link in the chat, Tom, so that somebody else can come on? Thank you.
This thing, I don't know what it's about. I got to call my wife and fuss at her about her internet. Because she works for the company that has our internet provider. Damn it, I was wanting to talk to Todd this morning. I just popped in my mind. I wanted to find out how his fiber optic was working.
So it worked one day, I know, and then it died the next. Did he get it fixed after that?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it must be okay now.
Because we've got AT&T. They ran AT&T's fiber optic in front of our house, and they said, well, we can give you a good rate. I said, well, it's not fiber optic, but we don't pay for our internet service. So he's like, you can't beat that. But if it ever changes, give me a call, because I'd like to try it and see, because we run so much stuff around here. At times, everybody's got their phones hooked to Wi-Fi. Everybody, Roberta and I have our computers running during the day, and then at night, there's everybody's computers running it. So it's, I'd like to really see how that works.
Hey, Larry, talking about you and I are approaching 60 also. I ain't even hit 55 yet. Don't throw me in your game there, Larry.
Have you not hit 55 yet?
I'm only 53.
Are you serious?
Yep.
I thought Scott was older than 53. Well, Jim's only 57. Or are you 58?
57.
Oh.
I'm 23 years from 80.
Oh, God. He's 23 years from 80.
If it wasn't for my knees and my hips and my shoulders hurting, I can't really tell a difference between 65 and 15.
Mentally, I feel the same.
I think about stuff that, like it was yesterday, and it was not. It was 50 years ago. I was talking to my brother. At one time, my dad had a boat. It was a 21-foot long winner, and it had an OMC outdrive in it, and it would pull like there was no tomorrow. And when we were down on the Waccamaw River, which is down near Myrtle Beach, and I'm sure you got lakes like that. I mean, rivers like that down in Alabama. And parts of the rivers we were on up in Missouri was the same way. They're narrow and they're just flat as a sheet of glass. And my brother, my older brother, who's 5 years older than I am, my younger brother, who's 3 years younger than I am, my cousin, one of my cousins, she is about the age of my younger brother, and then my youngest cousin, he's like 15 years younger than the rest of us. We'd all get behind that boat on water skis, and we would ski from Conway to just about Georgetown. And it was like it was nothing because the water was so flat. And we were talking about that this weekend at my parents' house, at my mom's house. And I said, we're going to have to try that again. And my oldest brother said, who is a smart ass, he said, first of all, we don't have a boat that will get our three fat asses out of the water. And he said, that's been 40 years ago, 30 years ago. He said, I don't even know if we could ride, from one end of the Lake Wiley to the other. But, you just kind of forget about time has passed and the things you used to do. And
I used to downhill ski, and I wouldn't dare do it anymore. I'd break
one
my
thing I can tell you about water skiing as an adult is stuff starts hurting afterwards that you didn't know that you still had. There'll be muscles in your upper body and arm.
Yeah.
And then you'll go, those things are still alive. What the hell?
Yeah.
Even riding on a tube. Jim would put us out on a tube, and I'd be like laying on my belly on a big tube, and he'd get going so fast. I mean, my boobs would be killing me. I mean, I'm like, I can't take that anymore.
When I was a kid, we rode a tube, and it was not one of these fancy things you go spend $100 for at the daggum boating supply store. It was a tractor trailer tube, one of those deals.
Oh my God, we have the nicest tube. Okay, it's like the mega whatever. So we used to caretake for those people, and this tube just shows up at the dock, tied to their dock. So Jim calls up. He's like, so and so, is this your big tube tied to the dock? It's all the lines all wrapped up under your ski boat. They had a boathouse. He wanted to know if he could cut the rope because it's all wrapped underneath the boathouse on these pilings. And he goes, no, that ain't ours. Get rid of it. It went right over to our house for our boat. I mean, it was like one of those $500 tubes.
And it's I think because you can lay out on it. If you lay on it completely flat in any direction, you can be completely on it. No part of your body hanging off it. So
as big as a king bed or bigger.
Yeah, it's got to be like at least 7x7, I would say. So I mean, it's a little bit rounded at the front, but it's basically this big square mattress that you pull behind your boat. But yeah, it's great. You can put 3-4 people on it. Yeah. It does drag if you have a small engine though. I mean, it does drag your boat down.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, these boys I hung around with, one of them. Okay, when I was a teenager, Lake Wiley was not the resort area that it is now. People did not live on the lake. They had little shacks out there, and they went out for the summer or the weekend and stuff like that. And so during the week, there was nobody out on the lake. And I used to go out there with some guys because one of the boys' dad had a place out there, and his dad was a mechanic, and he had a 23-foot Sea Ray. Not a Sea Ray, Glastron, that he had built that engine. So when it's got a full tank of gas and 6 people in the boat, only about 2 feet of that hole is in the water. It's running so fast. But we would go out on the lake on a tube and get zipping down the river and then throw a tight U-turn. So that tube is out at the end of a 150-foot ski rope. You probably make 300 miles an hour every time you pass the boat on the other side. If I was to do something like that now, I probably would just have to lay in the water for about 3 hours because it would beat you to death, even being smooth water. Hey, Flippin', how are you this morning?
That's Todd.
Todd.
But there's just, it just catches up with you. I used to snow ski. I probably could make it down
Yeah, it's a bitch to get old. I still think the same way. I think I do, like when I left high school, but now you like, you get like satisfaction, like, oh, good, I paid the electric bill. It's kind of like Step Brothers, where you take the Chewbacca mask off and you just have to be all responsible and do your taxes and pay your bills and stuff.
Or like when you roll up on your bicycle and you come to a stop and then you just fall over. That's when you know you've crossed over.
We don't ride bikes anymore, so.
On my other channel where I post old 8mm clips on it, there is some videos of like kids riding. Okay, hold on so you don't pass out. Riding without helmets and elbow pads and stuff like that on it, because they're from like the 60s and the 70s. We just did some crazy crap back then with no paddings, no helmets, nothing like that.
Like riding a bike.
Nowadays, if a kid was to ride down this, which it's illegal in Charlotte not to ride, not for a child not to have a helmet on.
Really? It's a law there? Wow.
Yeah, helmets are required. People be shocked.
TikTok the other day, and the guy was like, all you people who are against abortion, this generation is from watch the Hunger Games. We're coming for you. And I'm sitting here thinking, do you realize what Generation X and the generation before us, grew up bicycles with no helmets? We stayed out all hours of the night, thirsty, playing outside. You drank creek water. I mean, you ain't dealing with regular people. These big bunch of youngins think they're coming after Generation X.
Yeah.
They're soft.
Jim, Mr. Sadie's looking for a 3 or 4 blade stainless steel prop for his 75 horse Mercury.
Now, where's the best place to find one? I mean, I think usually Jim searches eBay for that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah,
a 3 to 4 blade stainless for a 75 horsepower Merc.
The only problem with the props is if you buy a used prop like that, you got that rubber slip ring in the middle inside the prop.
Yeah. That
is often bad. That's usually where they find a prop in a garage or at an estate sale or something, they throw it on eBay. But there's a rubber, it's like a shock absorber inside the prop. Your shaft goes into this spline deal and around that, it's like a pig in a blanket. It's got this rubber divider between that and the body of the prop. What happens is if you hit a stump or something like that, it tries to spare your drivetrain by breaking that rubber piece instead of damaging, the internals or possibly or maybe save the prop. Usually the prop don't make it, but if the prop does make it and then they resell it, I mean, you could be buying one of those and you won't know until you're in the boat. You won't know until you give it gas. Your engine's revving, but your boat's not really going anywhere. It's got no power. It's poochy. That's usually means you got that slipped rubber flange there. So I mean, buying used props is dicey.
So to summarize, your shaft and the rubber thing when you put it in is trying to break out and tear up the insides. That's what I heard.
That's what.
I was about to say. Now, Jim, this is a clean show here. We want to keep it clean.
Well, I'm just saying on eBay, it's real common for those to be out there. The ones with the rubber pieces shot.
Yeah, I can see the look on Tom's face.
Tick collars, they're all over the
You
place.
think they're probably expensive, especially stainless. But I mean, those Quicksilver props. I mean, you should be able to find one.
If you don't mind, if you get it reasonable, the stainless steel prop on eBay or something. Just make sure when you buy it that you're factoring in that you're going to have that
retuned and
that rubber thing replaced.
Yeah, the more he talked, I see Tom start giggling the same time. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like,
that's it. I was laughing too.
He hit a rock with his aluminum prop and it's toast, but I need a stainless anyway.
Well, here's the bad thing. Well, okay. Oh, I do have advice for that though. Hey, that prop that you wrecked? Don't feel too bad because if you got a stainless steel prop, that prop won't break, but it's going to send that stuff all up your drivetrain. So it could wipe out your drivetrain all the way up into the motor. So that's alloy props and aluminum props. The good thing about those is they take the hit, and your drivetrain, your gears and stuff don't. I'll say that. That's my That's my concern about stainless steel is it's almost too tough. You know, if you hit something, you can really damage the rest of your unit. You can crack. I've seen them crack the housing that the gears are held in that lower housing. It'll bust that right out because when the Tony hit a stump with a stainless steel prop.
Oh, that Mercury had a stainless
blew
prop
the whole,
on it.
no, it was a boat they had before that, but blew the whole gearbox out.
Huh.
The prop was fine. The prop made it. It just had a little bend.
Mm.
When I was coming back from my mother's house this past weekend, we were coming up 49, and you crossed Lake Wiley, and I stopped to get Roberta a Slurpee.
I love Slurpee.
Yeah, a big old cola Slurpee, and a guy had pulled up to get gas in his truck, but behind his boat he had a ski nautique, which is one of the outdrive. It's a outdrive type.
Yeah, it's a true inboard. It's not an IO.
Yeah,
it was a nautique. Oh, okay. I was gonna say
it's a nautique.
I mean, not an outboard, but an inboard. Yeah,
no, they make a inboard.
It's got a shaft that comes out straight out the bottom of the boat.
Yeah, it's a prop. It's a prop. Yeah,
and he had run through a rock pile with that thing. He was missing two blades, and there was a distinct bend in that shaft.
Oh yeah, that sucks because that shaft comes from the middle of the boat.
Shafts. You're gonna have bent supports,
yeah.
And the props can be fragged, and probably your tranny.
I will tell you this though, a Nautique. I mean, they are a Cadillac. I mean, running at speed. I mean, they handle water. They run smooth. I love riding in a Nautique.
Yeah, they're just kind of really pricey.
I would say any loot you sacrifice maneuverability. An IO you can steer, you can turn sharper. I mean, I'd say you have an advantage of maneuverability, and you can back it up. An IO is inboard's really hard to back up.
Yeah, I've not been too big on inboards. Just because that shaft sticking out the boat.
I want to get a deck boat is what I made the transition into an old person, and I want to get like a deck boat so we have room to walk around and stuff.
Oh. Yep. That sounds like an old person.
Yeah, I don't want a pontoon boat. I want a deck boat because we launch them and stuff. I don't want to mess around launching a pontoon boat, but I really want a deck boat. I just want to sit out there with a big hat on, and we'll just putter around. Jim will be driving, Uncle Bob style. And
what if we roll up into a crowd though, on our deck boat, and when we come to a stop, the whole deck boat just tips over?
Oh yeah, they go hack, and they're wide as hell.
What if we're too old to keep the deck boat upright?
Remember those old people that tipped that pontoon boat over you told me about?
There's these people. I don't know.
It was a small pontoon.
I'm assuming it was either a rental or they had people up on vacation or something. But there's these two lakes. I'm on Catfish, and then there's a channel that goes into Cranberry Lake. Well, they're on the entrance of this channel, and they're going to try to go into the channel where there's boat traffic, where they're getting a little bit of wake and stuff. There's like 15 people on a pontoon boat that looks like one of them bass buggies. I mean, the cans on it are like the diameter like coffee cans, the pontoons. It's got the super tiny pontoons. It's like this miniature pontoon boat. They got like 15 people on it with a charcoal grill and all this other crap going on. They're walking around on the boat. The boat,
senior citizens.
Yeah. Oh, there's some kids too.
Oh, okay.
It was a mix. There was at least 3 generations of dumbasses on this thing. So anyway, so they're all walking around in there. They're catching a little bit of wake, and all of a sudden I see it. The front end goes up in the air, and then it goes way down. I'm like, oh no, here she goes. Yep, she tipped. There's people everywhere in the water. I'm like, ah, damn it. So I start turning the boat around, and then it was like a Christmas miracle. All these other boats start going in to go help the people. I'm like, oh, great, they don't need me. It's like they're all the other way.
Tell them about that time you were by yourself with a pontoon boat and the wind caught it and stood straight up in the air.
Oh, I put in my boat. I had this old pontoon boat that I just put lawn furniture on it. So I took off all the lawn furniture. So it's just me and a control tower, the controls. And then we're in the middle of the boat, this steering column. I'm standing. There's nowhere to even sit. I've taken off all the lawn furniture. So I'm driving a sheet of plywood with I forgot what I had, like an 80 horse motor on the back of it, a big, heavy, old motor. Anyway, so I come around the corner into this straightaway. It's on a chain of lakes, so it's like a wide river is what it is. I'm headed for the boat landing to pull the boat out. I catch wind. I'm coming off this channel, which is fine, but all of a sudden I hit like this wave. The front end of the boat comes up a little bit, And it's like, you know how when you're carrying a sheet of plywood over your head and when the wind catches it, it lifts you up? Yeah, it does the same thing to pontoon boats. And I want to tell you, you'll fill your drawers. I had that front end, that pontoon boat was standing out straight up and down in the lake. I'm like, oh my God. And then finally the wind died down a little bit and the front end went down. But I made it to the boat landing. I was like, and it was at fall time, so it was like real windy day. Oh man, when you're pontoon boat straight up and down, it almost screwed the crap out of you.
I swear you're from the South. Because a
Jim
pontoon
almost
boat
sunk
with
the
some
pontoon
chairs
boat,
on it. That sounds such like Carolina fishing trash.
Oh, this is a good one. He almost sunk one. Tell him the Argo story.
I'm driving. I'm driving up north to up to Watersmeet Lake. It's over the Michigan border. I'm driving up there to help a buddy pick up an Argo with the same pontoon boat.
That's on an island.
But now since I've taken the motor off it, and now we go borrow another guy's 25 horsepower motor. We're gonna throw it on the back, just use it like a little barge, and take this pontoon boat over to go get this Argo, which is a big 6-wheel vehicle or whatever.
And he's on the tiller. He's not using the steering.
I'm like, I get there. I'm like, what the hell is this thing? They're like, oh, that's gonna help us pull the Argo. It's a 6-wheel ATV. I'm like, okay, and there's 6 of us. I'm like, this pontoon boat only holds so much. They're like, oh no, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Okay.
Right before winter, so it's super cold.
On the way I'm up there, the fishing report said the water temperature was 41 degrees on that lake. So I got my life jackets are all clipped to the side rail of this pontoon boat. We get across, we get the Argo on, then we get the 6-wheeler on the front deck of the pontoon boat. This thing is clearing about 2 to 3 inches out of the water to the deck of the pontoon boat. I mean, she's riding low. Mirror glass water though, so I'm like, okay, we're gonna put this thing back. I'm like, I hope we make it. All of a sudden, I get a bunch of the front end of the boat dips. I'm like, and then all of a sudden I see the guys running back towards me. They were all in the front, now they're running back towards me. I'm like, what the hell is going on? What are you guys screwing around? They're like, it's sinking. I'm like, what? All of a sudden this big wave of water comes back to me because now the boat's tipping back towards me. The motor goes underwater, stays running though. Pops back out. So they're all standing huddled in the middle of the boat around the control thing where I'm, no one's at that because it doesn't work. I'm running the tiller in the back of the boat. But they're all crowded around that thing saying, oh my God, we almost sunk. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah.
How much water went across the deck? Couple.
Well, it was over my knees
Yeah.
when it came over the back because the side walls are holding the water because there's no deck in the front. The deck has been removed so we could load the stupid Argo. So I'm like, I remember there's this kid. I go, hey, get me one of those life jackets on the rail. He goes, yeah, okay. And he goes, hey, you guys, wasn't that something? The water came over? I can't believe it. Yeah, he's talking to these other people. I look at him and say, hey, you, Wood, get me that life jacket right the F now. He's like, well, you don't have to get all mad about it, but just give me a life jacket. Sitting there talking to his buddies because I'm like, I'm going to be in 41 degree water and I'm going to die. You don't last long in 40 degree water, let me tell you. I've been in it. You don't last long.
See, now that's
Anyway,
good.
yeah, that was my
good
scariest
time.
adventure. Oh, and by the way, that motor, that 25 horsepower that went under, we had borrowed that on the way up. It wasn't even my freaking motor, so we were about to scrap. And the guy who owned it was Ralph Koopman, an attorney.
Oh boy. Did the
You don't want to wreck a lawyer's boat
Did the
motor.
6-wheeler almost fall off the front?
Yes, it didn't by some miracle. Nothing is strapped on. When the boat tipped forward, there was nothing to hold that 6-wheeler on. It should have just fell into the water. I mean, I have no idea why the hell it stayed on. Because I want to tell you, the back end, that motor is like screaming because when the prop comes out of the water, it spins a lot faster. We were at an angle. I mean, we had like a 30-degree tilt. I don't know why the hell.
It's like the Titanic.
Yeah, it was just something. The Holy Spirit's hand was
It's a
holding
good thing that Jim and I weren't friends as teenagers. It was a good thing that we were not friends as teenagers because neither one of us would probably be here.
Well, this happened in like 2000.
Well, it was before me.
Yeah,
but it is a good
No,
story.
it was after I was divorced, so it would have been like 2002, 2003.
But
So I wasn't
you're
a kid when we
adventurous.
did this.
Those are stories of people that are sitting around at the cafe drinking their Chardonnay.
Did
They
you
will
ever hear
never
the Lake
have-
Winnebago
They will never
story?
have stories like that.
Oh God, I can't. That's a long.
Oh no, he fell through the ice in Minnesota with a snowmobile. But he got lucky. There was a like water bubble between 2 layers of ice, so he only went in about 4 foot of water. Anyway, because it's like a 50-foot lake.
When you're standing on a sheet of ice that's 4 feet under the water, in the middle of a huge lake, it's scary because you don't know how thick that ice is underneath your feet. You got no idea, because if you fall through that layer, where the hell are you now? Because you just fell through the top layer. That didn't hold you. Yeah, it's scary. Falling through the ice is not. It's scary. I'll say that.
Mr. Sadie said he was talking about jet props. You lose power also, and
Jet
turning
boat.
is not that best.
Well, when you lay it off the throttle, you lose your steering, don't you? It's like a jet ski.
Back when jet boats first really got to be popular, back about 1975. I mean, I know most of you people were still pedaling your tricycles.
They're fast.
But my uncle has a place, or had a place on the Waccamaw River, and where his place was at it gets real narrow, and it starts getting kind of snaky, real curvy. And this guy my dad was putting in our boat at the public landing, and this guy was backing off this kick-ass jet boat. I mean, it had the pipes coming out the top and probably run 100 miles an hour on a straightaway. And my uncle told him, he said, "No, son, you need to watch it on the curves, because that thing doesn't turn this quick." Because when they first came out, they just had the jet drive coming out, which swerve to turn you, but it didn't have a skeg on it. And
maybe because
that guy made like one pass beyond my uncle's place, and he ended up 30 feet up into the woods with that thing. And so my uncle had a wrecker service, and he had to get his wrecker, and we had to go out there and drag him out of the daggum woods. But that sucker would fly, but it would not turn worth a crap. Now the jet boats have skegs on the bottom of their out drives. The little thing you don't know. They help turn.
Wouldn't it be like a jet ski? A jet ski is maneuverable.
Yeah, but
first of all, this place is water that you turn.
The last time I put my fat ass on a daggum jet ski or that thing said, "Excuse me, you need to get off of here. I can't hold up that much weight."
No, come on, Todd. Didn't you watch Tiger King with that big guy, and he's all like going across on his jet ski, just living the dream?
I have not watched one episode of Tiger King.
Oh man, you should watch it. It's actually good.
Yeah, and they make those 3-man Sea-Doos. You just sit in the middle. It'd be like one of those McLaren sports cars or whatever, where you drive in the middle. You just sit in the middle of the 3-seater.
I want it to go fast. I don't want those big ones are from Mama's.
All right, Ricky Bobby. I want to go fast.
If you're not first, you're last. Remember that. Hey Glenn, how are you doing, son? You staying dry down there?
Sally took a phone call.
Because let's see, Glenn is in Louisiana?
Yeah, he's in Louisiana.
We had a guy. We were on a channel when I was a kid, and you had one of these guys, one of those wedge boats with the Tower of Power Mercury, that real tall Mercury engine. He had one of them boats, and then a buddy of his, I'm assuming they were buddies, I think they were racing down the channel, which was no wake. The guy next to him, or it was soon to be on top of him, was driving a jet boat. And what happened was the guy saw the warden's boat, so he stopped his boat with the Mercury, and the dude with the jet ski behind him, or not jet boat. Yeah, it's a 20-some foot jet boat. Yeah, went right over the top of him. Hit that Tower of Power, folded that thing down, and then just did like one of these. Remember the old 007 movies with the old Gator, with the what's his face?
Burt
Reynolds, with like jumping boats and stuff. Yeah, he went right over the top of that other wedge boat. So then, when it was at a sharp turn, so they both wind up in this swamp, at the edge of the lake, and then the warden goes over to his light flash, and we're like, okay, well, that's all show's over.
If you let all the way off on the throttle, you lose your steering.
Right, yeah. So that's what happened was when the guy in front of him cut his throttle and slowed down, the guy with the jet boat also cut his throttle. That means you just shut off your steering.
It's good times. Like I said, those folks that's sitting at the cafe drinking their Chardonnay, they will never have such memories. I guess that's just the type of people we're raised by.
It's like when the helicopter falls off your yacht. Rich people have problems. Poor people just never have.
That's right. You know, my mom. I only know one time that my mom and dad ever came close to getting a divorce, and that's because my friend Tony Rozier, when we were about 12 years old, we always went to Lake for our vacation. We always went to the Rocks Pond campground on Lake Marion for 2 weeks, and my dad would take a week of vacation, and then he'd drive back and forth the other days. And Tony's dad did the same thing, and we decided we were going to build us a barge or whatever, and it basically had 4 55-gallon drums chained up under a 2x6 platform that had a deck on it, and then a cabin in the middle of it. And the only way you could get into the cabin was you had to dive into the water, swim up under the barge. And the barge was wasn't big. It was maybe 8 by 8. Had to swim up through a hole in the middle of it to come up inside the little cabin. My mother and Mrs. Rozier, Tony's mother, lost their shit over that. Them boys are going to drown out there, because we were going to camp out there because we had, everything that we needed to camp in it. And we were going to camp in it all night long. And our mothers were not happy about it at all. But we had.
Are you worried about snakes in the South, like when you're swimming around in the water?
Not in this area, because it's pretty open and there's a lot of traffic and they had like 300 campsites in here. So there was always a lot of traffic, people coming and going and swimming, and the drunks out there, going skinny dipping at the night. There's always a lot of traffic. But there's some snaky areas out there now. And Tom's all about snakes.
No, I could tolerate a snake, but I don't want to be friends with a snake.
Yeah, they don't really bother. I mean, I see so many snakes here now. I mean, in big snakes, they don't even bother me. I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh really? You're seeing a bunch of big snakes. Where's this?
All over the yard.
When are you seeing all these snakes? I saw one snake this year, and it was only about that big.
Okay, well, I see like maybe 10, 15 snakes a year.
Are you lying?
No.
When was last time?
The Carolinas, we have those rattle-headed copper moccasins. Them suckers will chase you down now.
I've never had a snake chase me. I don't bother them, and they don't bother me. I just look at it, and the thing, it'll either sit real still, or it'll just slowly slither away. A lot of times you just freeze. They don't do anything. They don't move. But if you start going up with a stick and you start messing with the snake, well, then you're going to get bit.
Yeah, I don't try touching them.
Yeah. Best thing to do with a snake is don't mess with it.
I was coming home late. Jim and Brandon were in the hot tub. I hear them. So I'm walking over there. And all of a sudden I get by the back door and there's a snake on the back sidewalk. I'm like, ah! I scream this really weird
okay, these are the snakes I see. Okay, you're seeing them too.
No, I only saw one. I only saw it twice this year. So I only saw one snake 2 times.
Oh, I've seen at least 15 snakes this year.
Well, I can't. Well, if I had big, thick glasses like you two, I'd see.
Well, I don't run in the house and say, "Mommy, I saw a snake."
Well, I don't either.
So Terry, you got to be friends with the snakes if you want to see them.
No, I don't want to be friends with
you
the
snake. You got to pet it.
Oh,
you got to be nice to it.
No.
They just creep me out.
Yeah,
Tara, didn't you have one fall out of a tree on you?
Yeah, I was in the window.
Right out the window. We're looking out the window right now. Is where she saw the snake fall out. The place where there's no snakes.
Yeah, but that was like 3 years ago.
You see me pull like at least 10 snakes out of that creek, out of the water. Those water
that
snakes.
First year we lived here.
There's a bunch of them now.
Yeah, I've seen them, but they don't count.
You're talking to me like I'm nuts.
Well, you are nuts, but they don't count because they're down by the creek. This is in my vicinity around the house.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, I mean down by like the shed down there.
Okay, well that's fine. Yeah, whatever.
The further closer you get to the woods, the more snakes you see.
Okay.
The creek. That sounds like you're from South Carolina down near the Georgia line.
I didn't even know I said creek.
Creek? Oh yeah, how do we say it in the north? Do we say creek?
We say creek, and I haven't said creek in years.
I think I said creek.
I don't say
Jim, did you get everything from Wisconsin?
No, we did sell our semi up there. One of them.
So you still got more stuff, and you sold the RV.
Well, he's giving it to his son, but it's still
gave it to his son.
Well, when you multiply the price of diesel by 3,
It's
interesting thing
$1,000
happens.
tree.
Yeah, no, it's $1,200. So the interesting thing is the cost of my trip going up north, just multiplied by 3, which don't include, you still got to stop for food, get some snacks or whatever on the way or whatever. The other incidentals, it makes it like a $1,500 trip. So yeah, it's definitely. I'm waiting for some Christmas miracle that maybe something will turn around.
Well, and he's putting a wheel bearing on the red truck right now.
Well,
too.
it's down to 429 down here right now.
Our gas,
No, diesel.
diesel.
Oh,
Tom.
diesel is still like 559 down here.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, do tell.
549 here.
I
And our
stopped
gas is like 509. Yeah, Tom, I'm not okay. No offense to anybody, but this is like a real truck that takes diesel, not like a
An
baby
egg
gas
hauler.
truck that you drive to church and haul eggs with.
It's a 17.5 vehicle rating, F550. So it loves diesel.
See, Scott's
Lots
got
of
an
it.
egg hauler, and you're not making fun of him.
Well, I don't want to hurt Scott's feelings because I don't talk to him as much, but
Okay.
and I know he loves his truck and stuff, but I secretly, when I hear him call it Big Red, I do chuckle, but I don't want to hurt his feelings.
Oh my God, Scott! I'm going to take a picture of Little Red and send it to you.
I'm only paying $3.90 a gallon. You can laugh all you want to.
Ooh,
Stopped at a quick trip,
Snap.
and this
That
is
hurt.
the same one that they have up north. This is a QUICK trip, and this guy was filling up his Provost motorhome at $425. He said, "I better just cut it off right there."
Yeah. Well, funny thing is, sometimes like your bank card will, the gas pump, those that stop at 100 or 150, and then you have to, redo the transaction.
So that's what I've been doing with the diesel. I got a 40-gallon tank, so when it hits 150, I just quit. I just kind of give up. I'm like, okay, screw it. I'll top it off next time.
For a while there, it was costing $100 to fill up my my Outlook if I ran it down to the E.
I think
$100 is a new 20.
Yeah, I think an Aviator would cost, when the gas was highest, it was getting up around 85, close to 90 to fill it.
Yeah.
If I was at E.
Remember when you had 100 in your wallet? It's like, oh yeah, nothing can stop me now. I feel powerful. I got 100.
Yeah,
It's like having a 20.
Yeah.
Scott,
He
Tara,
stops for $5 in gas. Like,
Woo.
around the corner. What is it?
Scott, see, when they go up, they fill that diesel truck up. They better remember who they vote for the next time, haven't they?
I don't vote for, and I'm not going to get political because we'll get in
You
trouble.
just said
but,
vote. That's political.
okay, but I'll vote for Biden. I want Biden to run again.
4 more years.
Yeah, we want to support Biden for his bid to rerun for president.
Yeah.
But
No
I
more
will
of
not
this
vote
laptop bullshit. Just everybody get quiet about that.
It's going to be nasty. I told Roberta I'm cutting off I'm not even turning on the TV, and I probably won't watch YouTube because it'll be one political ad after another. Because North Carolina is getting ready to get nasty.
Just
You
break
got-
out the old VHS tapes and watch some old movies.
That's right. The DVD, or I'll go to. Do they even still have it? YouTube Red, where you don't watch advertising.
Yeah.
Okay, Lord
Yeah.
Fauntleroy, like I'm going to spend the money for YouTube Red.
Well, I watch YouTube more than I do anything else.
I watch a lot. I listen to a lot of YouTube too.
Yeah, North Carolina, the Democrats have been cheating so hard there, they're getting caught. You can't tell me you got an entire Republican government except for that crooked ass governor y'all got.
Oh boy.
Well, exactly. And I tried not to get very political in this thing. I just can't find it hard to believe that we have a president, any president, whether it's Trump or Biden or any of them, that they can just sign stuff into law. To me, that's like usurping the authority of the Senate and the Congress.
Oh, you mean by
Yeah.
executive order? But the thing
Yeah.
is, when the presidency flips, those executive orders just get written back out. They have no lasting power. So if you look at it that way, it can be a good thing that
They
way.
shouldn't have any power. He's exactly right. There's a separation of powers. It should have to go through Congress to become a law. You shouldn't be able to just at a whim.
If it can't get through Congress and the Senate, then it's not. it's not a viable. One person shouldn't be able to just sign an executive order and it just do it what he wants to.
But if you did look at the bright side of it, like let's say he signed an executive order today to ban guns in the U.S., you'll have 2 years of pain. But when you get a Republican president, they can at least reverse that executive order. Or if it went through Congress, now it's signed into law.
If you look at the power of the president, Google the powers of the president, and then Google the powers of the Queen of England, they're almost identical. Except the difference is the Queen of England doesn't exercise, Queen edicts or whatever, like our American system, like the president does. But if you look at their powers, they appoint ambassadors, they can sign treaties, they do all this. It's very similar to the powers of our president is the powers that are in the monarch of Great Britain. Weird.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It was refreshing, at least, to see. I don't care which side you fall on Roe Wade. It was very refreshing to see the Supreme Court go. They made an error. We can't make laws. This created a law. The power goes back to the state. One of the branches of government actually said, we did wrong. It shouldn't have been this way, and give that authority to where it should be. That was very refreshing.
Yeah.
And the state gets to vote on it. The constituents of the state get to vote on it for their state.
Yeah, all the powers not given to the federal government go to the states.
Correct.
That's the law. It's been the law of the land since we started.
Things are just getting way out of control about people's rights. But they will never outlaw guns. They will never outlaw handguns because all of these congressmen and these senators and these rich people, they have people walking around talking in their sleeves with some dark sunglasses on with whatever.
But isn't he going after? Wasn't he? Doesn't Biden talk something about like high capacity 9mm or something?
Biden can't remember what he talked about 20 minutes ago.
No, but I think there's something, but I'm sure it's like a high capacity magazine for like a 9mm.
He was probably talking to that guy who turned around and shake his hand to.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And then he fell off his bike.
I was reading the paper today, and we have one of the most liberal newspapers in the United States, and it just seems like the Democrats have just got a hell of a mess on their hands. That they're all panicking.
They are. They're in full panic mode for sure.
Because I was reading today, and I just want to say, that everybody has crazy people in their party. Everybody does stupid stuff, So it's right now it's the Republicans bashing the Democrats. When it's the other way around, everything's going good for the Democrats. It's them bashing on the Republicans. But the Observer there was an article talking about like 65% of the Democrats want a new presidential candidate for the next term.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Democrats that's worried about having their congressional seat or their Senate seat, next term because of all the crap that's going on.
The only thing I would tell you is
you're definitely going to flip the House, and hopefully the Senate too. But I think they have a really good possibilities in these midterm elections. I don't like
my only thought for you is this: they have cheated and they have lied for the last 2 years, and everything they have done with crimes against humanity and everything else. If you think these Democrats are going to release power just through an election, I've got serious doubts that we're even going to have an election in November. They're going to come up with some crazy shit that we're not going to have an election. They're already setting up. This is variant D+. It's the most contagious. Put everybody back in mask. They don't enforce the laws. It is illegal to protest outside of a justice house. Okay, well, as long as they're Republican. If they're a conservative, you can when the governors are asking, please enforce your laws, and they won't do it. When these are the same people who know and have seen everything that Hunter Biden has put on his laptop and his phone, and they won't prosecute him. And you think they're going to let an election go through? You must be out your mind.
I would say that is a worry of mine too. And now it's a lot of this new variant COVID. They want to bring back mask mandate in New York, which it's New York. But the thing is here, like the Louisville news, yeah, they're like, oh, should we start having to wear masks again because there's
Yes.
COVID resurgent variations coming through. And I think also it's to try to mess around with the election with, like absentee voting and stuff like that.
I had an old man moment there. It just went, phew.
The last election for president, I was already living down here. Both me and Jim received absentee ballots from the state of Wisconsin. I've never voted absentee ballot my entire life, and I doubt Jim had
Except
either.
for that time. Remember, we both voted Biden.
We did not.
We voted for Biden because we were scared that they would come to get us if we didn't.
Okay. Anyway, we did not vote.
I voted in our primary.
The scary thing is we got sent those absentee ballots. We didn't request them anything. They just came to us.
But if you really love to vote, you should be able to vote multiple times if you really want to and love it.
Okay.
Because all those people that don't vote, you should get to vote for them.
We early voted for our primary because and Roberta said, "Why do you want to do that?" And I said, "I want to see if I've already voted or not." But it's I thought there was laws to protect justices because judges in particular from being harassed and whatnot, because that could change the way they consider rulings.
There are laws and they're not enforcing them. I mean, it's just like with Wisconsin, their beautiful state they just came from is a prime example. The Supreme Court of Wisconsin just came down and said, drop boxes are illegal. You can't use them. We don't know how y'all got away with it in 2020. It's because y'all gave the state to the fucking Democrats because they cheated. They should have thrown the whole state out and recalled the electors. Wisconsin in 2020 for president should have never counted. It was so corrupt.
Yeah. And they put the corruption in Milwaukee and Madison, which those are your liberal hotbeds. And they know enough that they can cheat there and get enough of the elections to flip the state for the electoral college.
All you have to do is have a thing called a computer, what you vote at, and then when you're done voting, you type in your social security number, and that's how the vote goes through. Once that number's been used for that election, it can't be used again, so you won't have any duplicate votes. And if somebody else already used it, well, you should have protected your social security number better.
Now, the problem
that's
is,
I mean, those
go to the nursing home and collect all their social security numbers and use them like they did in this last election.
Yeah. Well, when my mom,
but it will make it hard. I mean, you can't just right now. They're just running the ballots through a Xerox machine. You can't make it any easier than that for cheating.
My mom voted in the South Carolina primary, and when they were checking her off on the little book and whatnot, my mom watched her go down to her name and check the box off, and my dad was still on the ballot, was still on the
rolls, yeah,
a voter registration roll. And my mom said, I called and spoke to the voters, to the voter's office and said he had passed away and to take him off the roll. And the woman said, you're supposed to send a death certificate. She said, I dropped a copy of the death certificate by the office personally.
Well, Tom, the state of South Carolina has to protect your father's voting rights after he's passed away.
I did the same thing for my mom and dad when they moved to Florida. I was voting in our township, and I said, yeah, I saw when they had the voter rolls open. I said, that's my mom and dad. They moved to Florida 3 years ago. They're not around anymore. Oh, well, we just leave them on there just in case they come back or whatever. I'm like, what? So yeah, it's actually, I mean, they don't like to take people off the voting rolls.
Yeah, because it gives a new meaning to crossing over at death. You cross over from Republican to Democrat.
Yeah.
Well, what they're saying is that if things don't level out between the Republicans and the Democrats, then the moderate Democrats and the moderate Republicans are going to join together and create a third party, because people are getting so tired of all this bullshit. And and all you young people that this huge massive watchers I've got there, You got to remember one thing. The United States of America government has only one, they have only one income source, and that's from taxpayers of the United States. And that means that you people are the ones that are going to be paying for all this shit, and your grandchildren and your great grandchildren and your great grandchildren. It's going to just keep going. It's going to go on forever. But do you ever watch? Have you ever? It's some. I think it's Steven Crowder has a YouTube channel. Do you know
Yeah, I
him?
usually listen to him while I'm listening and
Did
stuff.
you listen to the one where he sent one after the last election? He sent a couple of his interns out to check addresses,
Oh yeah.
and one guy said, "I'm standing in front of this." I saw this on the YouTube channel, his YouTube channel, before he got axed from YouTube and then was reinstated. But he said, "I'm standing in front of a vacant lot, and apparently this person voted."
Yeah.
And then one of his other interns went to an industrial plant that had been closed for 40 years, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, look at the state of Georgia. They're counting the vote. They shut down that building in Atlanta in the middle of the night because it's supposedly a flood or whatever. And then when everybody leaves the building and the election observers leave the building, then they drag out boxes from underneath tables and start counting ballots again. I mean, that's kind of messed up.
And how has that not been investigated? They've not even touched that, and everybody in America has seen that.
I know, and you should. And then remember, they were given like the election observers. They'd make them stand like 200 feet away because of COVID and stuff. I have no. You should have Democrat election observers watching the ballot counting and Republican, because that's what's going to keep the shit straight. So I mean, they were way out of it last time.
Yeah, the thing with Georgia is after all that corruption they found in Georgia, we're supposed to believe that 72% of Republicans go, you know what, let's keep Raffensperger in there, the Secretary of State who was in control of all this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're stupid.
What gets me is that all these people are saying, "I'm leaving the United States. It's a shithole. I'm going to Canada."
Oh yeah.
And then I've watched some Canadian YouTubers that are, they talk about politics. They're like, unless you're Canadian, you're not coming to Canada because we don't want you. And there's just so many things that you have to do to become a resident of Canada.
Yeah, you're not going to be an illegal alien in Canada like here.
It's just,
I always wonder about the Georgia election. The one that was it like a month after the presidential election where you had that Warnock won that Senate seat, and then whoever beat Purdue, and then but down the ticket. This is what always fascinated me, because you would think if you voted for like Warnock, you're obviously probably going to vote straight Democrat ticket. At the bottom of that, you had this. His name was like Bubba something. It was like comp controller for the state of Georgia.
Oh, I love Bubba.
He won by the same margin that supposedly like the Democrats won by, but he's flipped. He's a Republican. Now you'd have thought that if you're that serious about voting for Democrat, at the bottom of the ticket, you just vote straight D.
No.
That doesn't even make sense to me.
Everybody loves Bubba.
He's a 72-year-old white guy. No offense. I mean, but he's also running against what I would say probably a hipper candidate with like a middle-aged African-American Democrat. And that doesn't even make sense. So at the bottom of the ticket, why would he have won? But on the top of the ticket, you have all the Democrats win. That doesn't even make sense.
Is because if you've looked at that race, you can lay it up against the presidential, and it follows that same pattern. Warnock's losing, Warnock's losing, Warnock's winning.
Yeah, I heard though, and I'm not sure in this, that there's something like they'll do the cheating in the federal election, but they won't do it in the state election because there could be more investigation at the state level in a state election like seat like that than there would be on the federal, like president, the Senate seat, stuff like that. I don't know if that's true or not.
I got a feeling if you look at it, they cheat from beginning to end.
Yeah, there's cheating, and everybody knows there's cheating. It's just how much cheating is everybody going to tolerate?
I'm showing property when I was still selling real estate, and I got these two people from Madison, Wisconsin. Okay, they own a house in Madison. I sold them a place in Eagle River, but they also owned a place in Branson. And now they were looking at another place in Rhinelander to replace the one in Eagle River. I'm like, okay, so I'm showing them property. They're in the front seat talking. I'm in the back seat with their grandson, talking to the grandson or whatever. I'm listening to what they're talking about. They're talking about their absentee ballots from Missouri and Northern and Eagle River, and they're going to actually vote in Madison. But they were talking about I'm like, why would you have absentee ballots in places? I'm like, oh my God. They were voting in 3 places. Everywhere where they had a property, they registered to vote. And this was back in the 90s. So I mean, it's been going on for a long time.
And they weren't voting Republican.
Oh, I didn't say anything about that. Okay, come on now. That could have been. I'm sure Republicans do it too, maybe.
It's always going to just keep getting worse and worse and worse until shit really hits the fan and people really
until we stand
really
up
have it bad.
Until we stand up and do something about it, the Republicans are terrible because, how many of the Republicans are sitting back waiting for the plan to happen? Q and Trump and all these people are working behind the scenes. If you're waiting on that fairy tale, you need to get off the couch and
well, you have these inept, career politician Republicans that are just sitting in there milking a check.
Well, when I become king of the United States of America, I'm going to put term limits on everybody. People should not be in Congress for 35 years, It's only good for the president to be in there for 2 terms. That's 8 years.
And the problem is
everybody else needs to be in there for
Mitch McConnell. I mean, he's a Republican. He ain't gonna vote for that because this is his career. This is how he makes money. Plus, probably.
I said when I become king of the United States of America. I didn't say.
Oh, okay, you'll be king, Lord Fauntleroy.
I'm not saying anything about them having a right to it. But I do come from 2 states. My birth state, we had Strom Thurmond, who was there for like 100 years, and then Jesse Helms from North Carolina that was there for like 60 years. But and they kept, and the thing about it is, back when he was making comments about gays and everything else, he would still win by a landslide. Why? Because he'd been in there so long that everybody knew, and he always voted for what's best for the state of North Carolina. He always watched out for North Carolina. And so he would pull Democrats and Republicans in the election.
Go read about Strom Thurmond. He was a just flagrant racist Democrat, and in the middle of it goes, you know what, I'm a Republican now, and they still kept electing him.
Yeah. It's like Liz Cheney. If she wouldn't have did this, or she did this stupid January 6th hearing and did all this like persecuting of Trump, she'd have been in that Wyoming seat as long as she cared to sit in it.
Yeah, but that's a career move. She's got a plan. She's not stupid.
Yeah.
Just because people don't agree with you don't mean they're stupid.
Yeah.
She's up to something.
You're right, Mr. Sadie, but this is the after show. The other show ended at 10 o'clock.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. When Sally took her phone call, that was the signal for the end.
Do what?
When Sally took her phone call, that signaled the political portion.
Yeah.
That was it was the bat signal for the political portion.
And all I said was diesel prices were too high, and right away you guys got to go to politics. You guys know the government has nothing to do with the price of diesel. They have no effect at all.
Smarty pants.
Why not?
I don't even want to go there. I'll tell you after y'all are done. This happened like 3 days ago, and we're not going to go there.
Happened 3 days ago.
Yeah, whenever I was on Todd's show last week or Friday or something.
What'd you say when they said leave the oil in the ground that was going to make fuel prices go up?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh.
Or maybe I did. I don't know.
That could affect the futures market? What?
Yeah. Y'all need a Lightning F-150 and go ahead and join the green movement. You can hook a trailer up to it, and you've got like 72 miles of range. You can take your trailer 72 miles from your house, and then you have to wait 4 or 5 hours.
But I wonder what kind of I wonder what the towing capacity is, because I got bigger trailers. I probably wouldn't even get 72 miles. I probably only get like 40 or something.
You hook the trailer up to it, it goes, oh, you're done. Recharge.
I get to the end of the driveway.
Well, all of these electric vehicle owners in North Carolina is getting ready to have a rude awakening because apparently there's a bill being pushed around in our state government that you'll have when you get your car inspected, you'll have to get your car inspected in the year that or the month that you got your tags for it, and then a year later when you have to get it your tags again, you'll have to take it in and they'll check the mileage on it, and then
because you're not paying any you're not paying any gas tax.
Mileage.
Electric cars don't pay road tax, which is crazy because if you look at them, they are heavier than regular vehicles and they are tearing up roads.
Well, that's just it. You know,
electric cars, they're going to tax them on their
electric
mileage.
cars.
Wisconsin,
Electric cars are doing as much or worse damage to roads as gasoline does because.
Well, this is what I'll say on electric.
On
this is my feeling on electric cars, and I'm not. I'm just a regular person. Okay, they still are using, natural gas or coal or whatever to produce the electricity that charges the car. So they're still technically on some type of fossil fuel byproduct. But the other thing is this, like lithium. How is it environmentally sound to go do these mining things in third world countries and dig these big ass holes and stuff in these people's land to pull lithium out to make electric car batteries so we can feel like we're doing the green thing?
Yeah, except I remember like 2 years ago when they were saying, oh yeah, there's not enough lithium to make phone batteries. So if we ain't got enough lithium to make phone batteries, how the hell are they got power semi trucks with lithium batteries that you can, when you recycle them, you only get like 10% of the lithium back? You ain't gonna, because they don't want you driving your own car. They want you taking public transportation.
That's true.
They're going to eliminate automobiles.
Well, you'll have rich people have cars, but the rest of us jabokes will be riding around on a bus.
You're either riding a moped.
And I can tell you, it's going to suck going to auctions on a trolley or a bus.
You got damn horses. Get you a couple of buggies. The Amish have been doing it for hundreds of years. Get you a horse and buggy.
They'll probably tax me on them.
No, horse farts make methane. You can't use a horse.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Because there's some states that tax you on your cows, like on how many cows you have for your environmental impact for how much methane they fart.
They should tax horses too. Horses fart too. They should
shut up. They should tax you too. You fart too.
I don't know if y'all saw, but either Ohio or Pennsylvania passed a law again stating that these Amish buggies had to have LED lights on the back of them.
Oh yeah.
And they raised such hell and arrested so many Amish that they had to repeal the law. and they are prepared to do it again. So that ought to be very interesting to see the Amish stand up and go, that's from the devil of the world. We're not putting those lights on our buggies.
Well, I had Amish in Wisconsin, not where I live, but about 2 hours south of me. And if they were driving at night, they did have some kind of flashing light on their thing. I don't know if they were LED. And there's Amish here too, and I have seen horse and buggies at night where they'll have like some kind of light so a car can see them.
Yeah, we tried to call the parson to tell him, hey, you got people out there with electric lights, but he didn't have a phone.
Kids Deal Moore says that when she has to start riding, when she has to go to Goodwill on a horse, that she's done with reselling.
Off topic slightly, because we're talking about the Amish. I've been going to a lot of these horse shows down here, and now you have like this whole bunch of Amish people that are like showing saddlebred horses and buggy horses, which I just think is so kind of funny in a way, because I didn't think they could like do something like fancy like that, like show for recognition, or because they're supposed to be simple and not show off.
And they're wearing like jackets with shiny buttons.
They were.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
My brother and his wife and daughter and son-in-law went to a horse auction, and they also have tack and stuff they auction off. And this guy had a $50,000 buggy.
Oh yeah,
he was trying to auction off. And Terry was like, my brother, he was like, who the hell would bring a $50,000 buggy to this auction when people are raising hell about prices of tack being too high, you know? But Terry said it was beautiful. It was black lacquer, had leather and velour seats in it. I mean, he said it was nice, but 50 grand. Millionaires don't come to this because these are $20 bags.
The Amish spend a lot of money on horses. They go up to like the standard bred auction because they like them for buggy horses, and they're also messing around a lot with show road horses. And you got Amish people that are dropping 50, 60, 80, 100,000 on standard bred prospect horses.
I want to see Mr. Sadie taking his bass boat to the river behind a horse and backing that sucker into the water.
Oh boy. I know, but he's still got an environmental impact with his big ass mercury motor, you know, contaminating our lakes and stuff.
But you know, Roberta and I kind of kicking around the idea of building another house or building a house, and I was looking at while we were doing it, putting up solar panels. Do you know that if I put up enough solar panels to not generate any usage out of the Duke Power grid, it'll still cost me $35 a month because I'm still connected to the Duke Power grid. So that's like an insurance fee.
Yeah.
Unless you get enough panels where you overgenerate and you sell it back to them.
I thought they quit. Well, I don't know about down there, but
out.
Wisconsin, didn't they quit doing that? Where if you overgenerated, they were actually paying you?
It used to be the law where they had to take the electricity back, but now they're repealing those laws. And yes, they're not. They're
because everybody's putting everybody is putting solar panels on their houses.
Yeah.
Jim, have you watched any of the free electric gizmos on YouTube?
No.
There's some guys that come up with some bullshit on there now about how to fishing and picking, self-perpetuating generators. I mean, all kinds of stuff on there.
Well, like perpetual motion machines.
Yeah, something sort of like that.
You remember that? Well, Tom, you're old enough. You're old enough to remember. Remember when we had the energy crisis in the 70s? And all of a sudden they raised the price and then there was plenty of energy. But when it was still the energy crisis, remember how Popular Mechanics and Popular Science, they had all these like hokey, it was like Bigfoot story sightings, you know. All this stuff you're going to have. You could put this little disc in your carburetor and you'll get 100 miles a gallon. But the car companies are keeping it a secret because they want you to buy fossil fuels. You know, it's such BS. Yeah, you'll get a lot of that. They just prey on people's, I don't know, beliefs or whatever. Ignorance, I guess.
It's back when Christmas lights have always been a big thing in my family. My dad has always put up Christmas lights. Ooh. And for about 3 years, because of the energy crisis, we didn't put up Christmas lights.
Yeah, like those little Italian lights they burn a lot too.
Nativity scene. I mean, he not Christmas Vacation bad, but he always put up lights on the house and the bushes and whatnot. For 3 years, we didn't put them up because we had an electrical crisis, Yeah. And like you said, and it just kind of like disappeared there. We had a governor in North Carolina, or North Carolina had a governor at the time because I was still living in South Carolina. Their state Christmas tree was only lit for so many hours a night, or like an hour at night, because his 4 kids would get in there and pedal a bicycle that was hooked to an alternator that would charge a battery.
God.
Yeah.
Don't tell me, was that Jim Hunt the first time?
I think it was Jim Hunt.
Yeah, Jim Hunt the first time, because he ran for a full lot and then he went away and then came back.
When Jimmy Carter told you all to wear a sweater, did you wear it, Tom? Like turn the heat down, wear a sweater.
It's too damn hot in the South for sweaters.
In the winter?
Well, Georgia, that's all you needed.
Oh, yeah, true.
Jimmy was confused. He was thinking he was still back in Georgia on the peanut farm.
Listen. I think Jimmy Carter, and I'm not a Democrat, So listen to me all the way through. I think he is a good man. I think he really has his heart in the right place. He was just a lousy president.
I agree.
I agree.
And I can say this, at least I'm thankful that he has moved from the last place as the worst president in the history of the United States to the third worst president in the.
No, he does that stuff on Habitat for Humanity and stuff. No, his heart's definitely in the right place. As far as a man, I think
I
he's
think
a
he
great
maybe
guy.
was over his head as president.
Yeah, I think he was.
a kid,
I think he
but-
was over his skis. I think they put him in a position where I think other people were running the show, and I don't think he was. He didn't have the experience in that area to understand that that's what they were doing. I think he was kind of railroaded. I don't think it was actually Carter's fault, to be honest, but I think it was his. It's kind of what's going on. I suspect now is his administration was running the government, and he wasn't.
Well, except worse because you can't say Jimmy Carter was totally senile either.
Nobody would say he was naive.
Yeah.
But I do like him. Actually, I say the test I have is would I drive like 4 hour on a 4-hour car ride with somebody? And actually, Jimmy Carter, I think would be interesting.
Would you drive a 4-hour car ride with Hunter Biden? He'd have some hell of some
Scott,
stories.
why did you just
If he
unfriend
said
me?
we're stopping for M&Ms, I'm saying, oh, you're getting the hell out of the car.
What did I do?
I said, Scott, why did you just unfriend me off of Facebook? Because I said something good about a Democrat president.
No, I agree 100%. There's a difference between Jimmy Carter the man and Jimmy Carter the president.
Yeah. So it's
the difference, and I'm not gonna say perfect, but the guy that's in there right now, he's just so damn corrupt. He's just greasy. The whole family is just so corrupt.
Fish. Mr. Biden is the last place, and Mr. Obama is second place. Second to the last. According to this thing I saw on Facebook. Okay. Because Facebook, the things that's posted on Facebook is always the truth.
Yeah.
John says that he has solar on his house and that it runs backwards in the spring and fall, and then he uses it all up, his credits up during the summer.
Yeah, they had that like when we were in Wisconsin, it was like that, but then they repealed that, I think. But maybe not all states have done it.
To buy back electricity.
Yeah. Maybe there's still some that are still starting doing it.
In Wisconsin, you have to pay on your state taxes. There's a fee you have to pay for owning an electric car to recoup the gas tax you haven't paid.
Well, we're talking about solar on
but they won't buy back your solar energy anymore either.
You know,
they're in the process of repealing it. I don't know if they got that through, but I suspect they were going to.
We have what 1,000 of the smartest people in the world in the country up in Washington D.C. and they're just making a clusterfuck out of everything. Pardon my French.
When did they get there?
I'm just saying that's what it's supposed to be. By the way, Roberta sent a donation into the Republican candidates running against AOC.
Oh, there you go. You're getting involved with New York politics.
No, I just despise that. Yeah, I was listening to somebody the other day, and they were talking about as dumb as she is, she might be the most dangerous candidate in America. That we need to do something about her now. Because can you imagine if she's continued to carry on, and at some point she runs for president, and all these dumb Generation Zs or whatever elect this idiot because they're as dumb as she is? She's extraordinarily dangerous. She needs to go.
Well, when she's running for president, then the Duchess of Sussex will be running for vice president. Because she's about as nuts. But the lady that's running against her, the Republican candidate, is running against her is an African-American lady who's former military. She seems to be seems to have a pretty good head on her shoulders.
Well,
but she said AOC, when she protested against the Amazon building that big corporate office where they were talking about building and how much problems it was on cause. She said, yes, as far as commuters and getting people in and out and all that kind of infrastructure. She said that was a very valid point. That was a very valid point. She said, but instead of just nixing the whole deal. She said she should have been looking at finding a way to fix that problem because those people needed those jobs. You know, they could have used those jobs. But then again, it's kind of a moot point because everybody from New York is moving to Texas and to Florida.
Well, the people that are too poor to move out of New York, though, they need jobs too.
It's a mess, and it's going to get worse. It's going to keep getting worse no matter who's president next time, who the Congress is. It's going to get worse because just like now, everybody's voicing their opinion, and it's just going to get bad. So all I can say is hoard your money and hoard your food.
Oh boy.
Brandon must be sick.
But
You
you can
mean
put
veggie?
y'all can put up a nice garden where y'all at.
What'd you say, Tom?
I said y'all can put up a nice garden where y'all at.
Why are you waking up, sir?
I can do what?
Put up a nice garden, plant vegetables.
Oh yeah, we could. I used to garden a lot. I just don't have time to like weed the garden and do stuff like that.
Well, when nobody's got any money to buy you crap off of YouTube, off of eBay, you're going to have some way to feed your child.
I'll figure it out. If it falls apart that bad, I guess I'll just grab a gun and go to the store. I'll just come to your house, Tom, with an AR and be like, "Give me your food, Tom," and you're gonna be like, "Okay."
You do like everybody else does. You can have. Here you go. Here's you a bowl of beans and rice. Because that's you listen to the news and you think about things.
Tom said I should.
And I know this has nothing to do with the well-being of the country.
And I'll just take your food.
Hey, you better lower the temperature.
But
That's true. This video, I'm sorry, this video probably will get flagged when I made that
lower the temperature.
Sarcastic remark.
The way everybody, the way they vandalize stuff when things start getting bad. We have this little shack called Biltmore up in Asheville.
Yeah.
And it really disturbs me to thought about what these lunatics that just into vandalizing everything.
Yeah.
What they could do to a place like that. I mean, it's full of irreplaceable art and stuff. I mean, it's it just it worries me that about stuff. It's a moot point, but it worries me about things like that being destroyed because people are not being taken care of.
So John Jones said that USPS is offering parcel select cubic competitive with UPS ground. But how long is it going to take to get there? That's the problem. UPS ground is going to be usually 3 to 4 days max. If it says parcel on it, is that the 8-day service?
Yeah. I haven't used it.
I'm surprised that Amazon has not been delivering USPS mail because one comes by our house just about on a daily basis.
So is yours a straight up Amazon delivery truck by you, Tom, or is it like a UPS truck?
We have an Amazon truck.
Yeah. See, I don't think we really have them here.
Oh man,
we still come on UPS.
They were entering the highway on 65, and I mean there must have been 100 of them.
Oh, sure, they're up by that Louisville truck.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, it was just this line of gray vans. It's like they're just blocking up the whole highway.
Damn you, Amazon! You're ruining the traffic pattern.
We have 3 huge, big, Amazon distribution centers here in Charlotte.
I have one in the town here, but I don't think that they deliver from that. I don't think that they have their own trucks that deliver out of there.
No, I don't think so.
Apparently, they've got like 500 trucks here in Charlotte.
Oh.
And they're still using third party. The Postal Service is still delivering. And the way customer service is getting, it's going to just keep on going. I'm just ready for them to start delivering food.
If they will deliver groceries the
I'm
same
talking
day.
about. I want a large pepperoni pizza. You know.
Oh, now they gotta cook the food for
Yeah.
God.
I don't
My-
want frozen pizza. I want you to cook that for me.
Yeah, I want it delivered here. You know, give them time. Mr.
Okay.
Amazon will have a piece of that pie too. Because I mean, I go to a local supermarket and they've got 2 cashiers that open, and there's 6 people standing in line in each line to check out. And where are all the damn managers at? You know, they need to get up there and get on the damn register.
I just go to self checkout. Then I don't have to talk to anyone.
Well, it's even worse over there.
Mm.
The only
They
place that
updated
I don't
our Walmart. They updated it, so they put in like a gazillion self checkouts, and then they have maybe like 4 regular checkout lines.
but when you got a buggy full of groceries, those little itty bitty damn counters for self checkout just don't work.
So
I
have
don't
you
know.
not
I
done it
just-
one time where
You what?
they're updating them now where they put in 4 or 5 or 6 registers in the middle and the big self checkouts where you go into self checkout, there'll be somebody there. If you got small items, they'll tell you to go left, and if you got big ones, they've got conveyor belt ones. They put you on the right, and so you got somewhere to stick all your stuff.
They don't do that around here.
We've got 2 or 3 that have been redone here.
I made a lady mad because she works for Food Lion, and I tell her I go to Publix when I'm buying a lot of my groceries because I have yet to go in there. And if lines start bagging up, then you'll see managers running registers. They get people out of there. Now that's the way it is here in Charlotte, and that might be because they're trying to get a foothold in here in Charlotte. But yeah, and yes, you pay a few cents more for your groceries, but the aggravation, the lack of aggravation is.
Publix, they're the ones here anyway. They do a better job hiring employees because they're like Chick-fil-A employees. They're all so nice and very polite. We've never had a problem with Publix since we've been here.
We've got some friends that they have 2 children that are not speaking to each other right now because one of them is still a high schooler and she works for Chick-fil-A and she makes some pretty good money for a high schooler, and her older brother is an ultra liberal and who's against Chick-fil-A because of their religious beliefs.
Is ultra liberal like ultra MAGA?
Do what?
Is ultra liberal like ultra MAGA?
They are. I don't know. I didn't know there was an ultra MAGA.
Oh my god! How do you not know that? Where you've been living under a stump?
I know
You just know
about.
about Ultra MAGA?
No, he goes, "Oh, the ultra liberals." I'm like, "Is that like ultra MAGA?" And he's like, "I don't even know what an ultra MAGA is."
Oh man,
I was being sarcastic.
Oh,
you better listen to Lord Biden's speeches.
Jim, I love you, Sam, but you're such a dick. You know, we don't come into contact with those kind of people. But anyway, they're not speaking. They are literally not speaking. They'll sit at their dining room table on Sundays when they're having big family dinners and not saying anything to each other. And I told my friend, I said, you need to just beat both of them's ass one good time and tell them, they need to knock it off because there's other things that's got to be worried about.
Yeah, I love
Mind
the
you, the daughter that works for Chick-fil-A has got about $2,000 worth of scholarships she's going to be using next year for when she goes to university.
I love how these liberals not only want to force you to accept and approve their beliefs, but then they want to sit and judge and jury against yours and condemn you for what you believe in. That's an awesome place to be for a person.
And this is America, and America is a place where people can think what they want to think.
Correct.
But you got to give it both ways. You got to give and not take all the time.
Well, you have a vocal minority that is the one that's yelling the loud almost.
They're using the media to try to give the impression that they are a bigger chunk of
Yes, I
society
agree.
than they are, and they are such a small minority. If regular America stood up, they would just go away.
Yeah, because most people just don't really want to be bothered with it. They just want to go about their business, earn a living, send their kids to school the best way they can, and move on, move on, move on, move on. Another thing that's getting me is this damn um, um, college funding. You know, doing away with, or people getting it all.
The college debt.
Yeah, this college debt, just getting it wiped out.
But they haven't been able to do that.
Well, they're working on it.
I believe. I think it's a talking point, like an election, like to get everybody wound up in that. But I don't know if they'll be able to get away with it. I don't think they should be able to get rid of it, but I don't know if they'll be able to.
See, I haven't heard any details on it.
Now you're trying to get it where it was like 15,000 in student debt, and I don't even think they got that through.
Why? They're saying there's not jobs available. Well, what the hell do you do with the damn master's degree in Peruvian antiquities?
Well, I guess you got to become a college professor and teach the course.
We know a couple of PhDs that's in education, and I've made one of them really mad because she wanted, when I first met her, she's like, "I'm Dr. Halster," and I'm like, "No, you're not. You're a PhD. You're a pretend doctor." I said, and it's the get the attitude going with right now. And I know they do a lot of work. They do a lot of studying to get their degrees. But I have more respect for the person that I pay $500 to come out here and fix my AC in the middle of August than I do your PhD. That really pissed them off, because they don't really do anything. And if I just pissed off anybody, I'm sorry. But this is America, and I can believe what I want to believe.
You offended me, Tom. How dare you?
Well, good. I'm glad, Tara.
I didn't even go to college, but how dare you say that?
Like I said, I know they work hard. Now, is your son going to get any college debt wiped off, Scott?
If they do it, he owes most of it. He owes like 18, so they'll wipe out most of his if they do it.
Well, you probably make too much money.
He's on his own, so he's older now, so.
But you were claiming him as a dependent. Are you going to have to refile your taxes because they do all they're not making them pay for their college, and are they going to get a 1099 where that debt's been wiped clean, which is what anybody else gets if you have an account that like a bank has to just do away with. God, my lips are
they only talk superficial. They haven't talked details about how
they haven't, and that's because they don't know what to do about it.
So the January 6th committee, yesterday they announced that we've got proof that y'all had insiders with the FBI and all this stuff is crap. And Steve Bannon, Trump releases Bannon and says, "Hey, he can go testify." Bannon goes, "Okay, I'll be there live. That's the only way I'm gonna testify is live and in person." Today they canceled it. They canceled everything they had for Thursday. Imagine that.
Yeah.
But Texas Val says, "Amen, brother. Give it to the blue collar worker." And I'm not just saying that because I own an AC and heating business. These people, like Val's husband, had to go. I'm in North Carolina. HVAC people have to go sit for a test before they can run an independent business.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have to sit before a board and prove that they're they know what they're doing, just like the surveyors and the engineers and the architects and and the doctors and lawyers, all these people have to sit down and prove that they know what they're doing and they have the knowledge to do what they're supposed to be doing to a board. So if that's the case, then Dr. Mr. Val, start throwing that name up everywhere, because they have had to prove that they are capable of doing it. And like I said, I'll bitch about going to the doctor and having to pay $150 for 10 minutes. But if that sucker says it's going to cost me $400 to get my AC or my heater fixed in January or August, I'm like pulling that debit card out and not even thinking a thing about it. Are you at the casino, Todd? Yeah, this is the after show. This is not the regular show.
Yeah, he went to like Oklahoma or something.
They have not come out with it like Scott said. They're keeping it real vague right now just to keep it in the media, to get votes, because they've not come out with any details.
It's actually worked out in our favor, because they are just proving to the younger generation how big of liars they are.
I will say, I think Jim's oldest son got his college debt wiped out, but it was something to do with, because he's a sheriff, it's something if you're in the public sector, like teachers or police officers and stuff like that. Or if you did it for so many years, you got it wiped out.
I tell my future daughter,
I think Biden has the ability to wipe out student debt for government employees.
Maybe that was all they can do. It's something, but you have to be employed by the government for like so long, and he's going to be. So to him, he did get the benefit of that.
Do they have casinos in Texas?
I think he went
to. Or did you drive over to Louisiana? But I told my daughter-in-law, my future daughter-in-law, that she needed to check in and see, because she's a nurse, and see if they were talking about frontline people getting it wiped off. Because that's where they need people at. That's nurses is what they need. Because when Roberta's mother was having heart surgery, one of the girls had to sit with her all the time because they just didn't have the nurses to look after her. The serious stuff, of course, the nurses came running, but just there to help them out because they couldn't move around. She couldn't move around a lot. Yeah, they have, all these HVAC and all that have to take surveyors, all that. They have to do continuing education every year. And my brother, who's a land surveyor, two brothers that are land surveyors, they hate having to go sit in those classes.
Yeah, the WinStar Casinos in Oklahoma, Indians.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Todd's down there spending all that money he's got. He's like, damn, if I'm going to give it to the dadgum government, I'll just throw it away and have some fun. But it's 11:13. People have really got to think about it, and the kids have got to really think about it, because they're the ones that's going to end up paying this crap off. Old people like me and Scott, Jim, Todd, we're not going to be around that many more years. It's all going to fall.
Speak for yourself. Jim better stay alive for a while. I got a lot of stuff to do.
You got a youngin' to put through school.
Yeah. Well, he's 14.
She's going to have Jim in a jazzy scooter. Get to work.
Yeah.
Oh, kidding. Soon as the boy gets old enough, he can get him a job. He'll be standing out there going, "Would you like fries with that, sir?"
He sells on eBay. Honestly,
well, he's gonna have to turn up some. He's gonna have to crank it up.
Well, I mean, for a kid, he's doing all right. I set him up with a checking account and that. I mean, for a kid, he's doing all right. And like right now, he's got football's gonna be 5 or 6 days a week, so
Right.
it's something he could work around doing his activities, and it's not like he has to go work at McDonald's at at night or switch around his schedule to be able to do it. So
Well, we had a young man get.
he buys his own stuff. He goes if he wants to go. He has his own debit card. He goes to the thrift store if he sees something he wants or wants to resell. He buys it himself. He buys on online auctions himself.
Well, they're having they're in a tizzy around here because some kid was at football practice, getting ready for the season, and got hit pretty hard. He was like in a daze and with a concussion for like 2 days. And now they're wanting to think they're saying it's just too rough. It's too rough, for our babies, our little snowflakes. So they're not sure whether they're going to even have a football teams.
You got a bunch of liberals over there, and they want to switch everything over to soccer or something.
Charlotte. If you look at the way people vote, Charlotte, Asheville, Raleigh, Greensboro, and one of the little podunk towns over by the coast in North Carolina are avid Democrats. I mean, they vote Democrat. The rest of the state is Republicans. So it's just the cities are just going to be.
I think it's like that in every state. I mean, even here, it's a very conservative Republican state, but you get up to bands around Lexington and then Louisville, and that's going to go real Democrat.
And it makes no sense because you get up to these damn big cities and they're living in damn squalor. People are like San Francisco, they're shitting in the street and everything else, and they continue to vote for these same idiots.
Well, what's it like around Huntsville? I mean, is it very Republican there yet, or is it switching?
It still is, but we got such an influx of people that the Democratic is picking up some, but we've got a Republican mayor and Republican.
Okay.
But
I know, you're getting a lot of influx of out-of-state people moving the area.
You've got all these out-of-staters moving in, and they're leaving something. Yeah. And they think they are so fucking smart that they keep voting and thinking the same way that they got them in the problem they were to begin with.
They bring their screwy ideas.
I mean, we tell them all the time, don't whatever our Alabama. You just leave us the hell alone. You need to change the way you need to understand Alabama is like it is because of a reason. Leave it alone or don't even come here.
Yeah.
Todd says he's going to parlay this $100 into $1 million this trip.
There you go.
Well, you do that, Todd, and then you write a course to tell people how to do that. Then
you should do a YouTube video and go viral.
Yeah, it'll go viral in no time. You'll be $100 billionaire.
You'd be like Mr. Beast or something.
Charlotte is having a problem with housing right now because there's not any low-income housing. And people are not wanting to use the Section 8 vouchers. They're not wanting to accept them. So our city council is working with the state to say that you cannot discriminate against somebody for having for using Section 8 vouchers to pay for your rent.
I wonder why are they not wanting to use the Section 8? Because they don't want
because they don't have the income to justify where they want to live at.
Because Jim did rentals in Wisconsin, and it was called New Cap. So, let's say I'll just use an example. If it's an $800 rental or something, I mean, it might qualify with rent assistance, where the state pays $700 of that rent, and the renter only pays $100 of it. But when the state of Wisconsin sends that check for rental assistance, it's there on time. I mean, it's right there at the beginning of the month. You're not waiting for it.
But they're not paying all of it. They only pay a percentage of it.
Well, it depends on the person's income and how many dependents they have and stuff like that.
But the problem is, and nobody wants to talk about it, if you're only paying $100 rent for something that should be $800, $1,000, you're going to treat that like $100 place. You're going to turn it into a shithole. That's what people are scared of. That these houses and stuff that they're wanting to rent are worth tons of money in this market, and they're going to just ruin their properties and it cost them way more than they'd ever.
Our our next door neighbors that have the rental house, that own the rental house, that thing sat vacant for a year and a half because they couldn't find anybody that met their requirements to rent it.
Hmm.
They didn't have their job history was either sketchy or all that kind of stuff. It was not. They could afford not to have to rent it. They could afford not to rent it instead of getting somebody else in there. And this was also during COVID, where they got in there because they had one friend that had somebody move in, made 2 months rent payment and quit paying because of COVID. Yet they still had a
yes,
job.
COVID did screw stuff up. Like, I could get that. And Jim hasn't done rentals as this. But I could say, like, if you got a rental unit, get your security deposit. You have to do, when you sign the rental agreement, you got to do that move-in checklist where both of you sign off on any damage that's in the house when they move into and they take possession of it, like, nail holes in drywall or any of that kind of stuff. So if you don't have that checklist and they move out of your apartment and it's all effed up, you really don't have much of a leg to stand on in court then.
We
at least in Wisconsin.
We know this guy who's built a bunch of, I think for a single person, for a single individual, it's, especially a young one, it's the right size. It's only like 12 by 35 feet. And it's got a little kitchen. It's got a full-size bathroom. It's got a bedroom, big enough for a full-size bed. And his when you sign his lease, it says one person. It's only meant for one person. He had to evict this one group of people out because there was 5 people living in this little tiny one-room apartment that they were paying $350 out of pocket, and the rest of it was coming out of
well, you do have to have like the other person on the lease too if they move in another person, because sometimes Jim would have a problem with like new cap. You'd have like a single mom move in there with her 2 kids. You qualify for new cap. Then a few months down the road she moves in a boyfriend or whatever. Well, then you have a problem with new cap because now you got another person in the house with a potential income, or they're not eligible for new cap or whatever like that. Then you would get some of those kind of problems.
Well, this is the way this was, and then because they had all these other people living in there, they lost their Section 8. And that's the boss. I'll be right back. Talk amongst
What the
yourselves.
hell? You can't leave. It's your show.
I guess he showed you.
I guess so. I just had a talk with Todd about this yesterday. You can't leave. It's your show. Don't leave me hanging.
I would say we talk about politics and ruin it, but we already been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be definitely careful. What the hard part about rentals is once you get these people in and getting them out is very hard, very difficult. They make it so difficult.
Well, it depends what state you're in, and with the COVID, it did screw it up. But hey, Jim, come here a second, Jim. Hey, Jim, come here. Come on, move faster. When you did rentals, how hard is it to get somebody out of a rental that's not paying? Before COVID, when the old days, like when you used to do it.
You had to do a 5-day and a 14-day.
And then they're out.
Yeah, it took about 20 days, and then after 20 days, then the sheriff could kick them out.
Yeah, that was up in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Because Tom was saying how some places aren't taking Section 8 vouchers because they don't want the people in. And now you have it sounded like government people are saying, no, that's discrimination. Can you discriminate against somebody like if they are eligible for rent assistance or Section 8?
No.
Is Section 8 only in one section of town, or can it be like in rural parts of Wisconsin too? Because you have new cap.
As long as they pay the full amount of rent, no, you can't discriminate. If the government says, "Oh, you got to take less rent," they can't force you to do that.
Yeah, but let's say new cap, so you had an $800 rental, and the state paid $400 of it, and they paid the other $400 out of pocket.
You cannot discriminate against any lawful form of income. So if you sell sex toys for weird parties or whatever, and it's a lawful job, I can't not rent you because you're a sex toy dealer, and I think that's wrong. That there's nothing I can do.
But can you turn somebody down because they're taking rental assistance?
Or stripper. Let's say somebody's an exact dancer. As long as it's legal for her to be an exact dancer or him, you can't discriminate.
But if you're
against her.
specifically on the rental assistance,
Hey,
No,
I like strippers. They pay in cash.
and like the thing, like, oh, they tear up your house because you've had plenty of rentals that got tore up, but you gotta make sure you get the security deposit, you get the rental agreement, and you have to do the checklist when you bring them in, right?
You never rent to anyone who can't tell you where they lived before. If they can't tell you where they lived before they're renting your place, do not rent to them. Simple rule. I've never had a good tenant. Every tenant that we dodged, they wound up renting from somebody else and wrecking their place. They weren't able to show references.
Yeah.
If they got a reference, if they know where they lived the time before, you'll know right away because they'll leave the places they lived before blank because they know they don't want you talking to them. And as landlords, we talk amongst ourselves too. Like I had this one guy come in, he's looking at an apartment. He goes, "Oh yeah, we should rent here because it's gas heat. It's not that terrible electric heat that we're paying over at that other place on Wisconsin Street." He says, "Yeah, it's owned by that restaurant guy," and I knew just the place it was. And I didn't know the restaurant guy, but I knew the real estate agent who managed it. I called up the other real estate agent. I said, "How is this guy?" Because he didn't put down your rental as a thing. He goes, "What's his name?" I told him. He goes, "Oh yeah, he's renting from me." I go, He says he wants to move to one of ours because the electric bill's too high. He goes, "Well, I don't know why he's worried about the electric bill. He ain't paid it in 3 months." And in that city, if the tenant didn't pay the electric bill, the city put it on you because it was their own city cooperative electric, and they would attach it right to your tax bill, your property tax bill. You'd have to pay that back electric bill. So anyway, that's how that works.
Todd says Tom collects sweaty $1 bills for rent. Hell yeah, they'll spend just as good as for right now. They will. They'll spend just as good as anything else.
Well, the ladies were good tenants. Their boyfriends sometimes were a problem. That's usually where the trouble came. It wasn't them, but it was, and we'd throw their asses out because if they're not on the lease, you don't have to let them continue to live there. You send them a notice. This guest has stayed beyond the on your lease. It should state that guests can only stay so long. They've stayed beyond the stated amount. Either they got to sign on the lease or they need to get the hell out of that apartment. And they don't want to sign on to the lease because then if the person who's anybody on the lease is responsible for the rents. So if one isn't paying it, that can attach to the other tenants who are on the lease if they're adults.
Yeah, and if they're getting any kind of assistance, it kind of affects how much money.
Sure, well, yes, because the courthouse wants to see everybody who's living with you. They want to know everybody in the household. Yeah, we did all that. It was called CCAP and New Cap. Yeah, we did all that. We did a lot of rent assistance.
But they were nice because the state of Wisconsin, your check was there right on time always.
And they know how to play it too. If they can't get the rent from the government, they'll go around to churches and stuff. They just keep on knocking on enough churches' doors. The church will wind up giving them one. They're going to find a church that has never given money to them before or whatever, and they'll hit them up for rent.
No.
It's
and
a
what do you
skill
do
set.
about damage? I mean, damage is just kind of part of that business when you lose one. I mean, did you ever have one? You had the one with the bad diapers that you managed, but
yeah, we had ones you had to remodel and whatever. Yeah. It happens. It's breakage.
Fish, you're over by the OBX, right?
Yeah,
it's Jason H. that's down in Horry County.
Yeah, Fishing and Picking. He's out in OBX.
Okay. It's just
the last thing I'm going to tell you.
It's a 1-bedroom apartment in Charlotte will cost you in a decent neighborhood will cost you between $1,400 and $1,700 a month.
I will say I had a friend down here with the COVID thing where you couldn't evict people if they weren't paying rent, which of course there are people that take advantage of that and figured it out. But I will say, like here, very quickly the state of Kentucky had it where they were covering those rents though. Because I have a friend here who's an auctioneer. He has some rental properties like that too. I'm like, hey, make sure you go and get contact with that so you get that money out of the state. And I would assume other states are doing that too.
Oh, so as taxpayers,
I mean, it's the same thing as the electric bill during COVID. I mean, they said, oh, you can't shut off your utilities because of this COVID crisis. I mean, there's just people, I didn't do it, but there are people out there that just like, oh, woohoo, I don't have to pay my power bill. I paid it because I didn't want to have like a $1,500 power bill, 10 months down the line or something.
See, if I wonder if the state paid it, did they send them a 1099 or anything like that?
For the renter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea on that. Probably not. I don't know. I don't know that, so I guess I won't say. But if they didn't, would it surprise you?
Nah. Democrat governor wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
You know,
And I have a Democrat governor, but it wouldn't surprise me.
my dad has this friend, or had a friend. His son runs the show now. They've got like 1,700 mobile home spaces throughout South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. All they have is the dirt. They don't have the park. They don't have any spaces. And during COVID, he went to all their different parks, and they had a meeting saying, "Look, now you're responsible for the rent, but you don't have a stroke about it. Don't wear yourself to death. But like, I'm going to make you haul your trailer out of here, because that's not going to happen. We're in good shape. We can deal with it. But you're responsible for the money, whether you do it now or it's 100 years from now. You're still responsible for the money."
Oh, and then,
and
honestly, I don't know. Well, Jim went outside with the dog, but I don't know this. Like in a mobile home park, if you're going to pay the lot rent, do they let you take your trailer off the lot? Or is it like a storage thing where they keep it?
Say that again.
I said in a mobile home park, if you don't pay the lot rent, because I know you own the trailer, do they let you remove the trailer from the park, or do they keep it like a storage unit would keep it? Hey, Jim, if you had a mobile home in a mobile home park and you didn't pay the lot rent, would they keep your trailer like for storage, or would they let you pull it out even if you owed the lot rent?
My friends tell
I
them to
don't
get.
know. But the trailer is your property,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so they would have to take some kind of court
But a
order.
storage unit, your storage unit is your property. If you don't pay the rent, I mean, they do get it on storage.
No, the stuff inside the storage unit is your property.
That's
but
what
the
I
storage unit itself
Is their
belongs-
property.
Oh yeah.
But it's
But
your
the-
stuff inside of it.
The trailer has a registration. It's like a car.
Oh.
You own it, so they could move it to a different part of the park and free up the lot. But you'd have to pay fees for them to move it and stuff like that. But no, it's still your property, I would guess. I mean, I don't know what the legal thing is, but I don't think they could just take it because they're back on lot fees.
Oh.
My brothers and I are looking into create for our children, creating an RV boat auto storage facility.
Like a storage building?
Yeah, only it's for boats and campers and that
Well, I'll
kind of
tell you
stuff.
this. What's the thing on depreciation of a storage unit? You can depreciate
It
it
was
out in
10
years.
years. Yeah, they might extend it up.
It's a great tax write-off.
Yeah, because it's a very fast write-off.
Well, I've talked to several people across the country about it, and one thing is that one guy said rent's due on the 1st, you're locked out by the 5th, and ABC Towing Company comes and gets it on the 10th. He said he's only had to do it one time in all the years he's had his business, because when you're talking about a $40,000, you're not talking about $300 worth of shit in a storage unit. You're talking, a $10,000 boat or
Right.
a $30,000 camper. People are going to make their payments, but he says they don't deal with, if you're not paid up by the 10th, somebody from a towing company's coming to get it, and then you deal with them. And there's storage fees and stuff like that. But the guy that has the mobile home parks, his biggest thing is with mortgage companies. People quit making the payments and then they repossess them. They want them to sit there. And he's like, you're still paying before it goes anywhere. You're going to pay all this back rent, and you're going to pay the rent that's accumulating now. And he has gotten several mobile homes that they just didn't want to deal with it. So he called, was it Houses for Habitat, Homes for Habitat, whatever. Habitat for Humanity, and said, I got a trailer here. You got someplace you can set it up? Come get it. You have it hauled out of here. It's yours, free of charge. You deal with the mortgage company about getting the title on it. And, but he's like, these mortgage companies don't want to mess with that. They don't want to have to deal with
Even on foreclosures, because Jim dealt with this in real estate, mortgage companies are and banks are really cheap about how much money they want to put into maintaining a property till it sells. Yeah, they'll cut their prices pretty quick. Like after 30 days, they'll just start dropping them by like 10 grand. Hey, wouldn't you say like mortgage companies and banks and stuff when they take back a foreclosure, they don't really want to put any money into the maintenance of the building or that.
Yes, they don't want to hold it because it gets wrecked.
Now, Fishing and Picking, he says Kitty Hawk Kites is a huge employer here, and they're paying for employees' housing now. They bought 30 homes so far because of the price of rent has run the workers north to VA Beach area.
I don't think bank foreclosure stays.
That goes back to
yeah.
Scott,
Well, I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about like back.
Yeah, because the windows get broken or it floods.
Yeah, you're saying that like if you have a mortgage on a single wide in a park, you know the mortgage company, if they take it back off the trailer on foreclosure, they don't want to pay the lot rent or whatever.
Yeah.
That sounds like the mill towns around North Carolina and South Carolina. Doesn't it, Scott? I don't wonder why. I guess it's the beard. That sounds like the mill towns because
you're sold to the company store.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that lived in their whole lives that lived in mill housing, they were nice little houses.
Yeah, out in west North Carolina, there's full towns that are like ghost towns now that were mill towns. That the mill once it shut down, they owned everything, and the kind of place was dried up.
Yeah,
I think rent is supposed to be up like 30%.
Their rent came out of their paychecks, so they never had to pay the rent because it automatically was deducted out of their paychecks. But that's the thing about Charlotte is they ran an article about how home sales were just gangbusters here in Charlotte, and then somebody else came out with an article saying, well, it's these big real estate holding companies coming here because they got a lot of cash on hand. They come in here and buying all these houses up, and now they're sitting empty because they don't have nobody to rent them because they can't afford $3,000 a month rent.
See, we're different here because so many people are moving here that. It's our real estate's really hot, but it's individuals coming in buying these houses because they're moving here.
Florida.
We have a
well, you need to get off you and Joni need to get off some of that money and buy you some rental houses.
I don't want to deal with a headache.
Jim did it, and Jim doesn't want to do it anymore. And honestly, if you really want to make money on rentals, you need at least a duplex or preferably a quadplex. But a duplex, because then one side pays for the mortgage, and then the other side, is hopefully money you're putting into your bank account.
Well, Mecklenburg County, City of Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, because Charlotte is so big, it's just about the whole county. So a lot of government services have been merged into the Charmec organization. They've done away with single family housing or single family zoning in Charmec. And so like this house, once we decide on the reason we're thinking about building a house is I'm going to tear this sucker down and I'm going to put a triplex here because it's big enough. And it's, we haven't decided whether we're going to sell it once we do it or whether we'll rent it. But and what they've done is, unless your property is zoned, unless it is deed restricted or you have an HOA, and we have neither, you can put multifamily. Of course, you have to go by the, you have to have so much open space for the buildings and whatnot.
Oh.
And yeah, right. But it's really upsetting a lot of people that live in older parts of the town that's got, these houses, these big old huge houses that was built during the 40s and the 50s, or excuse me, the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And now people are buying the house next door to them and putting up, a 3-story building with 8 apartments in it. So it's, it's really creating an opportunity, plus it's also creating headaches.
Speaking of headaches, I gotta go shit.
Yeah, I suppose you better
Yeah,
go.
I got to get out of here too. I should have been out of here a long time ago.
Yeah, because I have to go eat wings, so I have to get my stuff done.
Oh,
And
you
get-
got to go eat wings.
and
Thank
get
y'all
listening.
all of the 13 people that's still listening.
Oh, they're the diehards.
Yeah, but thank y'all for coming in. Sorry it's late getting started because I had to get some things together. Try to get into StreamYards because I forgot my password.
Oh, boy.
And so anyway, thank y'all for joining us. I guess Todd or Sally will do it tomorrow.
No,
if he's
Todd's
not.
gone to like Friday.
Huh?
Todd's gone to like Friday for sure.
Because I'm not gonna be able to do it anymore the rest of the week unless I go and.
Yeah,
my
Todd
headset
won't
goes
be
bad.
back until before Friday, so unless Sally's feeling better. But she was on today, so she'll be
Yeah.
feeling better and do it tomorrow.
We'll see. Anyway, thanks for
Y'all might force me to do a morning show again. Lord have mercy.
do what?
There
Y'all
you
might
go,
force me to do
there
a
you go,
morning show
Scott.
again.
Well, you just
Well,
doing.
let's see. What day is it? Tomorrow's Wednesday, so yeah, you better do it. We'll be waiting
So-
for you.
Anyway, thank you. Y'all have a great day. Make some money.
Peace out.
Bye.
Goodbye.